Good evening, folks. We're back again. Another Thursday, another Dynamite review, another rotation switch from your favorite wrestling podcast. That's what we do right here. We keep you on your toes in that regard. So it's good times. We hope everyone is well on this glorious Thursday evening. Another Dynamite in the books. Expert panel as always. Charlie of Great Britain and WrestlePurists. How are you this evening?
I am doing well. I am glad to be back. I missed last week because anyone that received a voice note from me in the last week knew that I had no voice. And it sounded like I was smoking 40 a day. Wasn't great. But back this week, excited to review Dynamite. It was a fun episode. And on that note, I might have to change location real quick because I think my internet's giving out up here. So I might have to go downstairs real quick.
I'm glad it's you because I thought I was just losing my mind. Okay, go for it, Chuck. Okay. Marcus back again. I'm making the town once more. Here, the most reliable member of the show you're not on.
Always.
How are you this evening, mate?
I'm doing all right. My brother Ayo said he had a little emergency, so you know what time it is. I'm the Jamal Crawford of WrestlePurists, so I got to come into the starting lineup and put up some buckets. You know what I'm saying? So 6-minute activities on the way. It was a fun episode of Dynamite. We're ready to talk about it. Let's get it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of good stuff to get into. There's a couple negatives that I think if you watch the show every week, you'll be able to probably guess what they're going to be. That is what it is at this point. It's part of the show, but there was a lot of positives.
There was a certain tree.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a tree, and I also think there's some lore that we have to tackle here at some point. But mostly positive, folks. Mostly positive. If you're fired up, talk about Dynamite. Or if you're not really and just watch us do it, please give us the thumbs up, subscribe, all those great things. And if you're feeling generous, support the show with super chats throughout the night. It could be your takes about All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite, or you could just send something random. I'm easy either way, but please do. If you're feeling generous, show us some love in that regard. All right. Now, it has to be said, this was a stronger lineup on paper, I think it's fair to say, right? This Dynamite, I noticed there was kind of a shift in that regard. I noticed this. I apologize. The super chat just immediately got me. Usually I'm good at not selling those, but that got me instantly.
Hey, man, it looked like do what you gotta do.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's the game. It looked like a stronger lineup this week. Marcus, do you think they're still figuring out this balance? It feels like it's the biggest thing for AEW this year is like the balance between angle story-driven episodes while still giving the people those matches that they want, right? Like that's been a balance. Yeah. This week, I thought they came a lot closer to striking that balance. What did you think?
Yeah, this was probably the best that they've done it in a couple of weeks because they have 9 pay-per-views now and they're more on a monthly basis. So there's less of a turnaround from Dynasty to Double or Nothing that there usually would be in years past. So last week there was episodes of like, okay, there's a lot of angles, a lot of talking segments, kind of loud on the wrestling, which if you're watching AEW, that's kind of what you want to watch, right?
All right.
But this week you got most of your roster. You got John Moxley on the card, you got Bryan on the card, you got an Okada match on there, and you still managed to get the really fun angles and really, really good talking segments out of the way. So it was a really good balance for me.
Yeah, I agree. Charlie, I'm intrigued what you think. Like, there was a lot of segments on this show, but it didn't feel like they were sacrificing the wrestling for that. What did you make of the kind of in-ring to promo balance on this week's Dynamite?
I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it all flowed together pretty well. There were some segments that I was just like, did we need it? But that's every wrestling show for you. That's always going to be the case. But I thought it was a pretty good balance. The main event was shorter than I would have hoped because of what it was, but it's what happens sometimes. So,
yeah, we did. Should note, they part of the reason they were able to kind of have more segments was they had what was the overrun on this? Like 15?
It was like 12 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it was
10 minutes usually in the segment afterwards.
Yeah, it was substantial. So, and they mentioned it a lot throughout the night. I wonder if that's going to be because it's easy to forget that was a thing with Raw back in the day when Raw was 2 hours long. They'd have like 20 minutes every week almost of an overrun. I almost wonder if that's the new normal. I don't know. I guess we'll find out here.
I think the new normal is going to be a 3-hour show on a Saturday, to be honest. But
so do I, and that is alarming.
I do have something on that, by the way. A mini good job select. So basically, the whole 3-hour packages of a Dynamite at the plus Rampage or a Collision plus Rampage, that is absolutely because of the NBA. Like, that is why you're doing it. But they're absolutely looking at the ratings of it and seeing how steady it's been. So it's kind of a mini test run. So that is an official thing.
Yeah, it's it's one of those difficult ones where it probably does make a lot of sense, right? The issue is the person who intends to watch it. I don't know if it makes sense to me as you know what I'm saying? It's like it probably does. I mean, it probably would be good for Rampage, right? I mean, I think I've noticed it myself. If there's one good match on Rampage and it's following one of the shows I'm watching, I'm more tempted than if it's just on its own on Friday.
Right.
I don't know. It changes the pacing of those shows, I feel, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Hopefully we don't get to it.
Hopefully we don't. But Collision already feels like it's like 4 hours long. So making it an actual 3 hour show, I feel like I'm going to be sat there for 6 hours. Like, I don't know what it is about those Saturday shows. The pace is so
I guess
strange.
it's a Saturday night because you're not doing much as it is. If you're already sitting and watching wrestling, you can stomach another hour.
This is true. This is true, yeah.
There's truth to what Chuck said. Like, Collision lost this past weekend. I had a hell of a time with the show, but my goodness, it's like, I'm sure it's 5 hours long. I'm convinced.
Even on rewatch, I was like, I'm fast forwarding through ad breaks, and like I'm still sat here for like 3 hours. It's crazy.
I've said it before, but it's a fascinating contrast to SmackDown. And at this point, I like both shows, so I'm not even doing better or worse. It's just SmackDown legitimately feels like it has like 35 minutes of room to do things. Collisions, every match goes like, it feels like they have like a full 15-minute block. But nonetheless, we'll review the Dynamite momentarily, folks. But first, Chuck, I know this is your favorite part of the show. Let's get into some super chats. Take it away.
I'm sat on the floor today, so I might actually be able to read them because I'm like at eye level.
Wow, you're on the floor. It looks like you're at a desk. It looks like you're in an office.
I'm
you
not.
A bag behind you.
I am sat on my living room floor currently because this was the solution. Listen, man, I do what I gotta do for the brand. It happens. Anjam PN $2 super chat, thank you. TK ruined the damn Puro scene. Hashtag TK bag. Hashtag save Puro. Okay.
Have you heard about the yen?
Sure.
Have you heard about the yen, guys?
I have heard rumors about that yen.
I can't confirm nor deny, but they saying, man, it's down.
I've heard the same thing. I've heard the exact same thing. Yep.
We might have the same sources.
Yes, indeed.
Who knows?
Matt C. Shoot on 99 super chat. Joe, thoughts on a WWE/Noah partnership? Is this the super chat that made you laugh?
Yes, it is. Well, Matt C. Shoot. We can discuss this tomorrow on the Late Night Grin at 10:30 Eastern. Well, we can do. Is Rampage on live this week? Is Rampage on Saturday this week? Is it free hour again?
Collision Space, yeah.
Oh.
They're doing it in a couple of hours, right? Collision and Rampage, I think. I think it's coming up tonight. I don't know. Anyway, I'll answer it. I'll answer it in person in the StreamYard studio. Matt C. Shoot. I appreciate the super chat.
Keep the suspense for the viewers. Tune into the Late Night Grin tomorrow.
You ready for Kenta versus Gunther?
Well, I've got some Cole Anderson matches up my sleeve, Marcus. I got some.
there's some stuff that can be cooked. You never know. Shaitan Spurs $5 super chat. Collision in a dark 2.5K capacity esports arena for a month. We did it, Joe.
Yeah. So I got a lot of tweets about this and DMs about this. Everyone's very excited, and I'm excited too. But I know there's some people in All Elite Wrestling that watch this show for some reason, so I'm going to use this as my opportunity to make a stand. Please do not set this place up like you set up every other building. This place has to look weird. It has to.
Absolutely.
This is the opportunity to do something really quirky, Like, I don't want to see the big screen and stage here. We don't need it. Let's get weird at the esports arena. 2.5K.
You're getting quirky as it is because you're doing a month-long residency here, and you're getting a subsidy from the Texas government to do it. So it's even weirder. Have a little fun with it.
And I mean, let's be real. I don't know how they're going to sell these tickets, but if they're just doing like you buy for each week, I'd imagine the houses by the end are not exactly going to be jam-packed anyway. So make it look cool, man. I don't know, but I am excited for the Collision call, as I've called it.
They should do a hang on, I've got to turn my camera off real quick. They should do a themed episode on like the last week or two because there is no way that they're going to be selling out this arena every week. So
I know what you're pitching.
bring back Road Rager. Bring back Road Rager.
No, I know what you're pitching.
I will say it's not impossible. I get the idea because summertime in Texas, there's a lot of things going on, especially in the Metroplex. Like you got Rangers games going on. You got AT&T Stadium right across the street. The whole Mike Tyson Paul fight happening.
Oh yeah,
like the first week of this whole thing. So people are gonna be out and about in Texas, and people go out. Surprisingly, because I talk to people that live out there. Like my sister lives out in the area. People will willingly go out to stuff in the summertime here.
And it's not a big venue, and it's I definitely they may fare well. Chuck, I'll say what you wanted to say in terms of theme shows. What Chuck is saying they should do is AEW Collision One Night Stand, where all the originals
that's absolutely what I'm saying.
Get back together, and
we'll see what I'm doing these days.
Could you
imagine? God, don't even.
Oh, that, bro. Booking a show with just like the remnants of the original Collision roster. Ricky Starks, I have a role for you this summer.
You have to do it. You have to do the whole bit. Like you have to get video messages, like Andrade or Idolo sends in a video.
The Brock Anderson appearance.
Yeah, Brock. Yeah.
Brock Anderson. Yeah. Oh my god, they could do some. But you've kind of sold me on this. This could be very funny.
Bring the luchas. Bring the luchadors. It's Texas.
It's Texas.
This is be the actual good play. Yeah.
Yes. They're gonna have to do at least one themed episode, and I hope it's like a Road Rager instead of whatever the Quake at the Lake. I think was the
Minnesota
one.
Episode. Yeah, where Quake came back.
That is that episode. Speaking of that, man. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for the super chat.
Yes,
we've got more. I will get to them. As champion, another $2 super chat. That Takeshita interview. Hope things get better. I did not read the things about this. So.
Well,
it's a lot.
It was extensive, yeah, so I'm paraphrasing, but it was... I mean, I don't know how much of it was like him just talking and how much of it was him, because when wrestlers do interviews, especially with the pub, I think it was like one of the magazines, wasn't it, Marcus? I don't know. I'm making stuff as I go.
I want to say it was Tokyo Sport, I believe.
Yeah, and so like whenever I read that source... I always kind of wonder how much the wrestlers, saying what their character is out, how much is them for real. I have no idea. It certainly is. It's not great. It sounded like a wrestler that was very frustrated and very kind of upset with his lack of progression. That's the way it read. Now again, folks, maybe we're reading too much into it, and that wasn't a sincere assessment, but that's the way it read, right, Marcus? Basically.
Yeah, and even if it was something that's more like his character motivations,
right?
There is something to be said about the way people progress in AEW up the card, where it's kind of like, it's kind of static because the way they do things, they'll give you 3 or 4 months to do something, then it's somebody else's turn. They'll pull you off this time. You go. And with a roster this big and a roster this talented, it's kind of difficult. Because you want to maintain momentum as much as you can as a wrestler, and you want to be on TV as much as you can, and you got 2-hour shows, and you got a Rampage that you can use and do stuff with, and people get frustrated. And I don't blame Seth Takeshita for being frustrated if that's true, because he's one of the most talented guys on the roster.
I think fans are frustrated about it, right? Like it's difficult. We've talked about this kind of previously. It's like the way that they book generally is they'll get like 60% out of 30 guys rather than 100% out of 15, and it's like, you'll see it. It's not like Takeshita's sitting at home watching the TV, but he doesn't feel as integral and as important as he feels like he could be and should be. And how many times has he had matches and performances where we've gone afterwards, okay, now it's gonna, like even the Osprey one, which is only 2 months ago, but it just feels like they really struggle with follow-up. So again, we don't know, as Marcus said, like whether it's a genuine feeling or not. I think there is a conversation to be had. I don't know, Chuck, what do you make of the kind of progression in AEW, the climbing of the card, so on and so forth?
It's been really hard for guys that, even when they have so much fan support, for them to like really break out. Like Swerve's only just done it, and I guess doing that in like 2 years is like quite impressive for like from a wrestling standpoint, but it shouldn't, like, Takeshita's never held singles gold in AEW, which is crazy when you have a belt like the international belt, which is literally tailor-made for someone like him. And he's never really just broken out of this bubble of being the guy that does really well and we can rely on. But then we just kind of shuffle things around again. It's the same with Daniel Garcia. Like guys like that, like, they do so well, and they've proved time and time again why they deserve to be cycled up the card more. And it just never happens. I don't know. AEW has a real weird booking tendency. They go back to the same people a lot, which is really unfortunate, because then we end up with segments like we had this week with Jericho.
And it's hard to do that, especially when the roster was a lot smaller early on. It wasn't as much of a problem. Then the roster just exploded with a bunch of talented guys that deserve to be in high spots. So it's kind of hard to juggle all these dudes. Like Roderick Strong, we kept begging for him to finally wrestle. Then he gets a belt. He doesn't really wrestle.
He doesn't really wrestle.
It's and I actually think, like, the chat is filled up with Ricky Starks talking. It's like, look, wherever you get Ricky Starks, I actually think the wrong way to approach the conversation is just like isolate each individual and examine whether or not we think they should be pushed or not. Because the actual conversation is the broader one, right? Like, the reality is, this isn't a Ricky Starks thing. This isn't a Takeshita thing. It goes a lot beyond that. And I don't think we're doing scoops to say that. I think we're all aware of examples. And I think anyone who's, let's be real, if you follow most of the guys on social media, are aware of examples. Like, it's not hard to find. It is a challenging thing. And that doesn't mean, like, oh, it's a disaster or anything like that. It's the reality of a big roster, and it's a juggling act. And I think sometimes they struggle to kind of, while juggling, they struggle to get the priorities, which is, I think some of these guys need to be moving at a quicker pace. But yeah, I don't know. It's a complicated thing. We don't get into it a lot on Thursdays because I think it is important to review each show just kind of for what it was, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a real issue they've had. And I also think it makes it hard for fans because it's hard to fully invest in your favorite, like, young guy or mid-card guy.
Yeah.
Because after a while, you kind of get burned, right? It's like, okay, I don't buy it anymore. And that is a real issue, I think. So, I don't know. Anything else on that topic, guys?
And it's also an issue that they start new projects with wrestlers a lot. Like, I love Carl Fletcher. I think he absolutely deserves to have investment put into him. But the level they've invested into him, when they have people like Takeshita and Daniel Garcia that have been doing the grind in AEW a little bit longer than he has, like, I don't know. It doesn't... Fair's not the right word, because of if that's who the bookers want to book, then it is what it is. And I think Kyle does deserve it. But when you look at it in, like, that situation, you've got all these young guys, and I don't know. It feels like they kind of see the shiny new toys, and that's what they pour a lot of resources into at that time. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I absolutely know what you mean. There are kind of mini projects that emerge and are on TV every week, and then it rotates, and, you know, it totally makes sense.
Like remember Sky Blue getting on TV every single week on every single programming?
Yeah. It seems to change. And I don't even mean this as a criticism. I actually like this match on this show a lot, and we'll get to it. But, like, you'll see a guy like Brian Cage go from, like, you never saw him for a while.
Yeah.
Then he kind of got in the rotation, then out again. And now it feels like I see him every week on TV. And that's fine to be, but it again speaks to, I'd imagine it's somewhat dizzying unless there's really good communication. It must be hard to kind of know where you stand. I think AEW, you know, another thing that we've kind of we're circling here, really, what we're really talking about here is hierarchy, right? It's, I think you could list AEW's top 5 to 10 guys, but if I said to you do 10 to 30, the order would be, like, impossible, right? Because everyone feels like they're kind of bunched together in that way.
You get like 40 different answers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you could do it every month and we'd answer differently. You know, so the rotation changes. It's an interesting system they have. I think it has strengths, but I definitely think it has weaknesses. Absolutely. So,
yeah.
But indeed, to the point. Yeah, to the point, we hope, you know, obviously all the best to Takeshita. Now, all the wrestlers are frustrated, you know, like it's human at the end of the day. All right, sorry, Chuck. I'm fucking single super chat doing monologues over here.
Bro, $4.99. They took that poor man's wedding ring. # Harley Cameron is good. Well, hold on.
Let's pump the brakes on
one day at a time. One day at a time.
It's okay, I think. But That
The
wedding
first part-
business
The first part's crazy.
it was insane. Yeah, a lot of that was actually. This felt like a pretty sort of like a pivotal week in the in the ongoing story of whether or not people care about the law. I'm not sure.
Like, there are very many jokes to be had about the House of Black stealing a wedding ring, but I'll make them when we get to the segment.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, okay. Shout out to us, $5 super chat. Thank you, Marcus. Fought on the new Jag Stadium, All In 2028. No, All In is a UK thing. Stop trying to steal things from us. We get one show a year. Dear God, let us have it.
Amen. All I'm gonna say though, Chuck, Duval County is the motherland of this promotion. So if they want to put it over there,
They've got
fine.
about 7 motherlands because people call Chicago the home of AEW as well.
Well. What's the
I'm
address
just
of
saying.
the headquarters? Jacksonville,
just
Florida,
saying.
right?
I'm
What you saying?
just saying.
I think what Marcus is saying is the new Jag Stadium is going to be the Tokyo Dome to Daly's Korakuen Hall. I think that's what he's saying.
Hey man, that's what I want to
That's
do.
fucking incredible.
And the big part about it is though, on the real, one, I'm very happy because I don't have to hear about all these fuck niggas doing all these London jokes no more for the last decade of my life. So y'all can kiss my ass and suck my dick from the back if y'all making those jokes.
Oh my God.
And there's gonna be a new Four Seasons there that they're gonna build. There's gonna be new hotels. There's gonna be new restaurants. There's gonna be a nice revamped downtown. So if they want to bring this on over,
Well,
I
that's
ain't
awesome,
opposed to it.
Yeah, I'll fly out. I was
Of course
joking.
you will.
All In should be international at some point, but only if they give us other shows. Because
Yes.
my bank account be hurting sometimes. My God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. They're going to do a UK tour at some point, and Chuck's going to do the entire tour. It's going to be
Right.
outrageous.
and then you're not going to see me for 2 months because I will be absolutely skinned.
She's gonna be working. She's gonna be working the phones, getting all her favorites booked over there. You know.
Oh, you know, I got peoples of peoples. You know. Bam, $5 super chat. TK needs to start giving wins to Takeshita and DG, going over names with credibility like your Ricky Starks, Jeff Hardy, all 3 goats.
Jeff Hardy.
There's a lot to that super chat because I originally thought you said Jeff Jarrett and I was about to go on a rant, but I will just leave it at Jeff Hardy.
Well, Jeff Hardy just got cleared from a concussion and on the phone to him, get back to TV so I got to see you can kick your ass.
Right. do a random like no DQ match with Takeshita or something like that. You know, fly around, get a swanton in some chairs.
Takeshita Jeff Hardy sounds insane. Actually, now you bring it up, yeah.
That is a Texas Arlington collision taping match if I've ever heard one.
Right.
Arlington, Texas. You don't say the state first. Anyways, bro, 199 super chat. Darby Allin must have no bones. He's insane, dude. Yeah,
bro. That man is a Tom and Jerry character come to life.
he got hit by a bus 3 weeks ago. That is the most Looney Tunes ass shit I've ever heard in my life. Like,
I didn't actually pop for his music. I just laughed because it was like, this dude's insane, you know. Like it was a pop, but it was framed as just me being like, how are we supposed to expect this?
Yeah,
it's like, how did we get here?
I know they were in Washington, but I still didn't like anticipate Darby being back. Like,
Not in a million years.
We'll get there.
How's it gonna work?
I have no clue.
Buddy, I don't know how he has an ankle currently, really, but I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, we'll cross
as much as I talk on wrestlers' injuries, I am not a doctor. NJPW God 199. Takeshita greater than the whole roster. That is a fair opinion to have.
There's better than a lot of guys on that roster. I'll say that much.
He looks like a good wrestler, right, Chuck? He looks like a good wrestler.
He looks like a good
he need, ain't he?
Yeah, that is one of my funnier moments on these shows. Carl 20 pesos. Darby Allin is made of jelly and self-loathing.
That's a very apt description of Darby Allin.
Yep.
The man did say in his first ever promo in the company, he's half dead inside, so
he's lived up to it.
Body. Yep. Exactly.
As advertised.
As advertised, indeed. Have they $5 Australian? I'm going to assume. Sorry if I've assumed. Inspired by Harley Cameron's Shining Wizard, what other moves have surprising users?
Gallows throws a super kick, and I think it's like the funniest thing.
That's really good.
I remember Heyman used to throw a super kick back in like ROH. I was like, bro.
It doesn't fit, right? It's just one of those things.
Now that we're on topic of Shining Wizards, though, Muto, at his age, at the end of his career, is still trying to use Shining Wizards.
Oh, the little run up beforehand where he'd like yell at himself. God,
exactly. It's like an old car that has an engine that needs to rev up for like 10 minutes before it gets going.
Genuinely. I'm trying to think here.
I don't have a good answer. That isn't like a big guy doing a moonsault. I don't know what you want from me. That's
just par for the course at this point.
Which is now it's more surprising when they don't do moonsaults, right?
Yeah, honestly, like I'm always surprised when people have really crisp drop kicks, because that's like, it feels like that's something that's quite hard to get down. Other than like your Okadas, because Okada's like Okada.
It feels like you actually don't like see it a lot. You know,
like exactly. Which was surprised.
Oh, I actually got one. Y'all ever notice Dax doing like a dragon suplex like last couple of weeks?
Yes, it's very funny, the moves like he
needs like God bless him. He needs moves he can execute standing still. He's beat up.
You know Dax Harwood these days.
He's held together by tape.
Yeah, it's actually
grimacing the entire time he's in the ring.
I know we have our bits around here. Everyone knows where I stand on the FTR debate, but what he produced on this show, considering the way he walked to the ring, was actually quite staggering, because he looked in agony.
Like the run up to everything he tried to do. He tried to get him up for the Liger bar. I was like, Dax, bro, your leg's about to give out.
He looked in agony, man. God bless. I wish him well. I don't know.
He had the knee brace on, he had tape on his back, he had the fucking heat pad or whatever. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on with him last night, but Jesus Christ, is he going to make it to Anarchy in the arena? And more importantly, is he going to make it out?
Well, that's the thing. It feels like at some point he should probably give himself a few weeks, but it doesn't seem to be the way he's approaching it. And I mean, who am I? It is what it is, right?
If they can injuries, make sure Phoenix is healthy somehow, some way. Subbing in the blood and guts that later down the line if you got to do it.
Could you imagine the whole team changes? The whole squad.
Yeah, they just.
Which honestly, I wouldn't even hate them rotating some guys in for like blood and guts, because I don't want it to be a rematch. There you go.
Yeah, I think blood and guts will be one extra member on both teams, but I get what you mean. Like, it would be nice to freshen up the whole deal. Garcia's, that one's kind of puzzling, because like he was in the angle. He was in it before Dynasty, the go home. He was in the angle. He was in the.
This is what we mean by talent getting cycled out, because what are we doing?
I mean,
it's like what they came up with ultimately does make sense in the context of AEW, but like still, Darby was dead 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think any of us want to complain about Darby Allin. He's this fucking Darby Allin, but it was striking because I kind of expected DG last week, and then there was a replacement. I was like, okay, I don't know what the deal is there. It kind of goes back to the first conversation, as Chuck said. So, yeah, my God, great super chats tonight, folks. Look at this.
We are. This is great. Do you guys actually want us to review Dynamite? Because we can keep doing this. This is great.
We'll just do this. I'm fine with this.
On the super chats now.
Yeah. And Jean PN, another $2 super chat. Thank you very much for your support. Thoughts on Mother Wayne? # Lady of the Cage Household. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, and seeing her on TV sometimes pops me immensely.
Yeah, cosign.
It's so funny because, like, looking at them all together, they look like an actual factual family. They look like
they do.
They do.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Really, Monica and Frank. You got Nick Wayne's probably Carl.
Someone needs to do some Photoshop on this, Robert. That's a good bit.
Oh, yes.
That's good.
Yes. Good. That needs to be the next Holbert House show from now.
Well, yeah. I think I actually have one waiting from Andia, so yeah.
Mousefan84 199. Okada Darby equals Okada Kaito with nastier bumps. Fucking hell, Okada Darby.
Can you imagine Darby selling a dropkick from Okada? Good lord.
That needs to be on tape, because that needs to be full locked in Okada.
Yeah. That is a continental title match if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
I need that more than ever. I really do.
I really do. There is so much potential with this roster, and we still get matches we've never seen before. It's crazy. Speaking to the depth of it again, Bro 199, Cash Wheeler, a free man, Demon Home.
The Florida Justice System, bro.
The best thing to come out of this still, in my opinion, is Wembley Stadium chanting that Wheeler has a gun.
That was
incredible.
I'd say that's still number one, but I don't think Brian Alvarez did justice the post-show thing last night, where Cash legitimately got the mic and said,
was insane.
That's so crazy.
I'm sorry, look, it's probably like wrong or whatever, but that is one of the funniest wrestling things I can ever. The crowd actually popping huge for that was incredible.
I would just
like
like
we're
to
not
say,
losing
though,
Cash.
This is just a very, very tragic miscarriage of justice by the Florida courts. I put in the
your
word,
people, man.
Hey, them crackers ain't my people.
Florida, bro. It's your people.
Ron DeSantis is not my people, but
it's Florida, man. I don't know.
He is not my. They not my people until they free my people. Simple as that. They freed the wrong man, and they got my people locked down in chain gangs, JPay and court links and 3 hots on a cot. That's where he should be. This man should be in Bradford County Jail, but no, they let him out.
Listen, I hope he keeps doing flips and stuff.
Yeah, have you seen him recently? I mean, it speaks for itself.
He kept wrestling every match like it was his last match. They should have just never told him if he was going to jail or not. I need that energy.
Thoughts of Paris, he crashes out next week. I'll just say that.
Thoughts of Paris. My God. Shit. Double or Nothing really is next week. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Clyde Clint. Yeah, it is. Clyde Clint, £2 super chat. Justified shut the fuck up chance for House of Shite. That's such an English super chat.
That was kind of crazy. I've got to admit, that was wild.
The minute I saw the microphone in Malachi's hand, I was like, "Don't you dare! Don't you fucking dare!"
Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear! And Jean-Pierre, another $2 super chat. Thank you very much. At Anarchy in the Arena, whose life is ending? Darby, Cash, or both?
Yes.
Dax.
Yeah. Well, ideally, none of them really. I mean, that would be the.
I mean, yeah, I did. If I had to give an answer,
I think Darby's the.
I do not wish death on anyone.
I mean,
Darby's going to do some crazy shit.
I don't wish death.
Oh, yeah.
But I wish someone to be slowed up to the point where they're taking a vacation.
Yeah. All right, fair. Very measured of you.
Yeah, very. I don't know how Darby tops diving through a glass pane.
That's the scary part.
And I fear he's going to try.
Probably.
He's going to watch Shane McMahon tapes from SummerSlam 2000 and try to jump off the damn screen somehow.
Oh my God. Steve Blackman.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
He's going to dive off the fucking.
The actual thing we're not asking though, what's Okada going to look like in this type of match?
I don't know, but I'm very excited. He is going to walk and brawl. He's going to do some silly spots, and it's going to be great.
He ain't going to run that. He going to cuss people out. He ain't going to run that blade or nothing. He's made a big career out of not running blades. It ain't stopping.
Jack Perry's probably going to do something fucking crazy.
He'll do some stunts, yeah.
Because
my scapegoat's going to kill it.
Listen, man, the Young Bucks are my goats. They're the greatest tag team of all time, but there's only so many times they can bump in these matches these days. So Jack Perry's got some weight to carry for that team.
I think so too, yeah.
Believe in your EVPs. Come on now.
I believe in my EVPs wholeheartedly, even when they make rash decisions like firing Christopher Daniels, which is crazy to me, but we'll get to that. Wrestling is real to me, okay?
Me too.
I'm sure it is.
It's so real. Speaking of Christopher Daniels, it's almost been a year since my feature about him come out. Ain't that crazy?
Wow, that is actually wild.
Yeah.
It's literally a year on the 20th of May. Not that I have it marked in my calendar or anything.
My God.
I know. A lot has happened since then. Bruh, wow. I got curious. I don't know what just happened.
Well, I know that works too hard. You gotta sound them out one by one. I know it be hard sometimes.
I've been
Bro,
doing a lot of reading.
You really have. I'm sorry.
It's all good. We appreciate the support. Bro, 199 super chat. They should have Jack beat Cash before the pay-per-view, lol. You know,
I ain't
Sounds like
opposed
a
to it.
collision match.
that is a very collision match. I don't know what that looks like.
I'm
Jack
not the
and
biggest fan of
Dax
Cass.
was killer. Do you remember that match?
Yeah, I
Jack
do
and
remember
Dax.
that match.
Yeah.
That match it'll be interesting. Brainbuster 199. 6 shows in my area. My wallet gonna be starving. I hope these shows are well priced for the
Run
people
them
going to
pockets.
them.
Yeah.
Because, bro, like I've done weekends of wrestling, like doing 5 shows in a weekend or whatever, and it gets expensive buying the tickets. I couldn't imagine like buying
Hold on,
tickets
Charlie.
for
Hold on, Charlie. Let me cut you off.
8.
But done weeks of wrestling? You currently do weeks of wrestling,
You made it sound like you retired.
right?
I wish you
Yeah, I
should
was
see my
gonna
calendar
say.
for the next few weeks. It's
Oh,
well,
it would give me immense anxiety. It really would.
dude.
Dawson.
Super Strong Style weekend is like 3 days before my sister gets married, and then 2 days after my sister gets married, I'm in Liverpool. So,
Who's in Super Strong Style this year? Anyone good?
Mike Santana, Shelton Benjamin.
Whoa.
I know. I know.
Okay.
I led with the good stuff. Casey Navarro, Luke Jacobs, I think, Connor Mills.
This sounds pretty good. I'm sure
There's
there's
names.
very,
I'm not
yeah.
saying. Is
Yeah,
Therese
I'm
in
sure.
it? Therese might be in it. I'm not sure. I lose track.
All right.
Degrees.
We'll save
gonna
this for
be,
the Brit Rest podcast, right, Jack?
The Brit Rep podcast. Yeah.
We're on the AEW Dynamite podcast.
Apparently.
We are 37 minutes in. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. Please do keep them coming because firing off the super chats is a lot of fun.
That's how we feed our families, folks. We appreciate it
Got
immensely.
rent to pay and all that.
That's how I pay
Please
for my
keep them
wrestling
coming.
tickets.
Yes, thank you, Chuck, for reading those for the last 45 minutes, wherever it's been, and we'll now talk about Dynamite for a bit. All right.
Wait, let's get into it.
Straight into the action. Brian Danielson and John Moxley versus Jeff Cobb and Cole Fletcher. Don Callis was on commentary for this one. They did the deal where the music kept playing as the action was rolling. Didn't quite hit the same with this theme. It was more kind of, I mean, it was funny. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
I thought it was hilarious because it's got to be so humbling getting your ass beat when there's just "I was born for greatness" going on in the background. Like
that theme is kind of funny in itself, but yeah, it was very funny as a.
It's like I never pictured Brian Danielson having a theme like that ever in my life.
Yeah.
But, hey,
do you remember the live performance?
Why is it just the live performance?
That was a moment. Yeah.
Is this just a BCC thing? They get to have their theme songs looping during brawls, like
something like that. Yeah.
Pretty much.
I think they were definitely like trying to hook people with that opening. I don't know how that worked, but they tried, right? I think that's pretty apparent. But it must be said, I thought Moxley's energy here was great, and I've been kind of like burnt out on Moxley's AEW TV character for a while, but he really felt like fired up here, and the crowd was excited to see him. Obviously, the crowd was thrilled to see Dragon. I thought this kick some ass was pretty good. Marcus, what did you make of the opening match?
I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
So when the hook that they tried with just going straight into the action and just beating the shit out of people with the music playing, I was a sucker for it. I'm always a sucker for that, especially when it's BCC and especially when it's Moxley, who again, we've had a lot of things to say about how he's been used so far and how he's kind of in and out of the programming and everything like that. But when he's here, Big Papa Mox is ready to go, and he was ready to go tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he really brought it. Fletcher is always bumping violently in any kind of TV match, right? Like, it's sometimes he's trying so hard. It's like, good God, man, take
the Osprey match.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it was very valuable here because that's not what Cobb's going to be doing, right? So I thought
that's the other part. Jeff Cobb's in this match too, by the way.
Carl had a tag team partner.
And Cobb was good here. Like I used to be a big Jeff Cobb fan. I think over the last few years he's slowed down some, but he's still very capable when he's he's fired up, and he seemed pretty motivated here. So I thought this came off well, Chuck. What did you think?
I had a lot of fun with this. The brawl into the music is something that I enjoy very much. It really pops me every time that it happens because they're quite sparing with it. I think it's happened 3 times in the last 2 years. So let's not do it again for 6 months. Do not take the piss. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think that Fletcher bumps like an absolute fucking madman, and he made the Death Rider look like actual death. Which, when you see that move a lot, it's hard to really feel the impact of it sometimes. Like, I know we see a lot of finishers all the time, but Moxie rarely loses these days.
There was an era when he did the Death Rider where it was just basically a butterfly suplex.
Yes,
there was. But Kyle made it look like he really had killed him. Which I think is a real credit to Kyle. His selling sometimes, like, it is a bit extreme, but so many guys don't know how to do that type of selling. I think there's a real lack of it in wrestling, and he should dial it back sometimes. But in this match, it really worked. When you're wrestling people as physical as John Moxley and Bryan Danielson, like, you can do it. And I do pop for the annual Jeff Cobb Dynamite appearance when Best of the Super Juniors is going on. It's a very fun tradition. I think that he killed it here. And hey, man, they like, if this is how we're going to start some Forbidden Door build up as well, like, get some of the guys over when they're not being utilized in the programming in New Japan, like, do the same thing, send some guys over to New Japan, like, if you can, like, get some cross-promotional stuff going to build for Forbidden Door, and it'll be all good. But yeah, very good opening match. Incredible crowd. Like, starting with Danielson was an inspired choice, like, really got him ramped up for the rest of the night.
You got Defy Chance all night, too.
We did get Defy Chance all night. It was actually quite, I quite liked that. I enjoyed it.
It was cool. It had a really nice atmosphere, this show did. Yeah, to the point about Fletcher, I mean, the big thing to me is you just don't want to get pigeonholed as the bumping heel. Because if you do that to yourself, the book will absolutely take advantage of it. There are 1,000,001 examples. So it's one of those things of like, he'll find that. But how old is Carl? 25?
Like 25,
yeah.
Which is crazy. You know, like, especially look at the current landscape. That is not a trend we're seeing a lot of right now. So he'll find the balance, I'm sure. I thought he looked really good here. He's developed pretty impressively, and just physically looks better, right? Like, I think he looks more and more.
I think he's found a look for him that works for right now.
I agree. Television. When he first bulked up, it looked like he was trying to fit into a frame that wasn't necessarily for him. He looks much more. I think he looks better here. It's kind of leveled out. Some it looks like. So yeah, really strong opening match, I thought. All right, we had a little post match too. Takeshita, we were talking about earlier, of course, attacked Moxley. We assume this is the Double or Nothing match. Claudio made the save, and Claudio. It feels like there's something up with this Claudio Castagnoli business. I think the BCC may finally be. I don't know. I think there's some changes ahead, Chuck. What do you think?
I agree. I feel ever since he cut that promo about being like a champion wrestler or whatever it was saying, his energy has felt different when it comes to like doing stuff with the BCC especially. And I feel like they've kind of checked off everything as a team they can do in AEW at the moment, like within AEW, and like when it goes to like working outside of AEW as well, like going to Japan and like doing Stadium Stampede last year at Wembley and going to Mexico wrestling in CMLL. Like, as a faction, there's not a whole lot they can do.
I agree.
As a faction that Claudio turns on, there's some weight to that story. Especially if it ends up tying into the AEW versus Elite story, which it very well could do. You never know what's going to happen with that story.
Given the promo last week, Claudio Con Collision about Brian teaming with Eddie, he was like, I'm happy for you. Fight for AEW all you want. I can't rock with you fucking with Eddie Kingston. I can't do it.
Yeah. And now his beef's going to change, I think, and be Eddie Kingston got injured, and I'm still
not the choice. Yeah.
Something like that, I think. And I think it's good for Claudio because the reality is no matter what he does, he was going to be the third man in the Blackpool Combat Club, which is fine.
Yeah.
But like, you can play around with different things, right? With him, if indeed he leaves. So, yeah, I'm intrigued how it kind of unfolds. Do we think Double or Nothing for Takeshita and Moxley? Do we still think that's where they're headed?
I hope so.
Yeah. Because if you don't do it there, like, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room between now and Forbidden Door.
If that's on there, I mean, even if it's not on there, the card looks great. But if you add that too, my goodness. Yeah.
How many matches are on the card confirmed so far?
5?
I think we're at 5 or 6. Yeah. 5 or 6.
Throw it on.
Anarchy in Arena.
I think it's going to be on there.
The cage match, women's.
Chuck is now remembering this is always dangerous.
There's
never try to
there's a
remember
fifth,
things
but I
on the
can't
air.
remember. Oh, Osprey, Roddy. Yeah, so it's 5 at the moment.
Yeah.
Did you remember Malachi?
I did. I just called it the cage match.
Good for you. Good for you, Joe. Good
Nice.
stuff. What a professional, right? All right.
It's all up here.
We're going to be previewing that card tomorrow night, folks, on the Late Night Grin. So there you go. Matt C. Shoot will be over there talking about Noah. Okay. Swerve Strickland and Christian Gage video package. I thought this was very well done. This is not really something we need to even analyze. This is just a quick thing I think we can all agree.
Yes.
When your wrestlers make appearances outside of the wrestling promotion, you should always show that shit on TV.
Yes.
Thank you for actually doing that with Swerve. They need to do that way more, right? There was a moment recently on a presser where someone asked Tony about that in terms of Mercedes, and he seemed completely baffled by it. They did it with Mercedes last week. They did it here. It's cool. It makes the wrestlers look larger than life and cool, right? It makes it like it's bigger than just a little bubble you're in. So this was well done. I think, we'll talk more about kind of Swerve, obviously, with his promo and match later on in the show. There were 3 big segments advertised for this show. There was a contract signing, there was a face-to-face, and there was my favorite of all, which was Copeland calls out Malachi Black for Double or Nothing. Now, it's unclear what he intended to achieve here, because he was calling him out for Double or Nothing. So why did he have to do this now? I mean, it feels like he could have just sent a contract or so. I don't know. I don't negotiate these kind of things. But he came out and immediately got the shit kicked out of him by House of Black. And frankly, it kind of deserves it, really. I mean, he's calling it. Why is he calling the man out? I don't know. But then, in an instant, it felt like they were getting heat on Copeland, and it felt like someone had muted the TV. It was crazy. It was really weird the way the atmosphere changed. And before we go any further on this, look, I want to be clear in saying that while we've all had our issues, the House of Black act, they generally get good reactions live. This was this stunned me. It was definitely silent. And then as soon as Malachi got into his promo, he got the shut the fuck up chance. And it was and you could see he was surprised.
I guess he was chanting shut the fuck up while run along with him.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're alone in that regard, but he was surprised, and he went on with his promo, and they were going to do some sort of thing in the corner. They eventually did do it, but it was so quiet that when Kyle O'Reilly came out, you'd have thought that
they just resurrected. What word am I trying to say here?
Resurrected.
Thank you.
I know these words be hard sometimes, but
they're resurrecting someone. There you go.
I mean, Kyle. People like Kyle, but outside of winning home, it's not like he's been getting huge responses. And it's like he came out here like he got a Road Warrior pop. People were so excited to see. It had a really strange vibe. Now, again, folks, this wasn't like a bad angle. It was just there. It was very short as well. They took Copeland's. Well, relatively speaking, I think there's an angle later that I thought was much worse. Of course, they took Copeland's wedding ring, which we'll get to that more in Malachi's promo. But I didn't think it was even bad. It's just this had a strange vibe. Yeah, I don't know, Marcus. What did you make of this?
It's fucking weird. The whole beatdown thing was whatever. I get that. I like that part. Brody King getting involved in it, and he absolutely clocked the dog shit out of Kyle O'Reilly out on the outside. Which he did. By the way, book that for a match.
Book the singles match.
Yes, but anyway, get into it. The minute I saw Malachi with the mic and they hit the shut the fuck up chance, I'm like, brother, please remember that this is wrestling. This is not a play at your local observatory, bro. This is fucking wrestling. Then he goes, Mr. Matthews, give me your wedding ring. I want to take his soul. I want to peep inside his mind. And the immortal words of my dear brother Chris O'Brien, nigga, this is wrestling. Why are you jacking his wedding ring? Why? Was he pawn it off at the local Everett pawn shop? No.
That was an amazing moment just happened there where in WrestlePurists lore is Chris O'Brien, as he passed on, you clutched the heart. I know I'm told Chris has stepped away from the sport we love, but is that in WrestlePurists lore? Is he gone? My goodness, I didn't know.
We're very DNA in the way that we kill people off when they leave the company.
We love Chris. It just popped me. Yeah.
We do love Chris.
Like Chris, but nah, for real though, what was the purpose of stealing this wedding ring? Unless Beth Phoenix is coming in, which I don't think is happening.
Well,
what's the payoff here? And there is very much something to be said about the irony of House of Black members stealing wedding rings. Look at your Beyonces at your crib before you steal someone's wedding ring, bro.
They don't be at the crib. They do not be at the crib. But anyways, I thought this angle was alright. I didn't really have much to say about it. I just want Kyle O'Reilly to face Brody King at on Collision. Give him 18 minutes. I think it'll be very fun. Will people in the arena enjoy it? I don't know. I will.
I mean, the fact that that's my main takeaway out of this, instead of
says a lot
Malachi,
about. Yeah.
We've talked about it. This is a big match. Malachi, this match needs to be good. Let's be real. And that's just the truth. It needs to be good.
He's not beating any of these allegations when the match is a fucking barbed wire cage match.
And there's a reason to barbed wire cage match.
But the barbed wire is going to be on top of the cage? Does that not mean like you have to get pinned? Or does it mean you like have to climb through barbed wire? What does that mean?
He's got to walk out the door. I don't think Malachi's winning. Someone's walking out the door.
It's gotta happen. But like I said last week when I was here, it's very fitting this is happening in Las Vegas because you can just go to your local bookie, go on Underdog Fantasy, DraftKings, Hard Rock, whatever you got to do. Hammer the under on the amount of back bumps Malachi is going to take. Hammer the shit out of the under. It's going to be, it said, like 3.5. Put it at like 2. And that's
not sponsored.
No. Marcus just kicked the shit out of this. That was incredible. All right.
That was bravo. Do we want to hit the couple of super chats we have?
Yes, we do. Before we do, though, Chuck, please, if you're enjoying this, folks, if you enjoyed Marcus' monologue there regarding the House of Black, hit the thumbs up, right? Subscribe. And now, with that, Charlie, take it away with these couple of super chats. Go for it.
Chi-Town Spurs $5. Callis keeps talking about international recruiting. No one's more international than a Swiss guy who speaks 5 languages. Listen, man, I don't think I would hate it.
I would.
You know what? That actually might be. That might be what they're doing, actually.
I think that's the
plan. Because Osprey, it's a weird thing because Osprey at some point is going to get kicked out of the group, right? At some point. But he's saying that he's wrestled Claudio as well. Because that's the thing that confuses me about the Osprey Don Callis angle that's coming out. Is like he's wrestled everyone in the group already. That was kind of the point, you know? Yeah, but Claudio wouldn't change that, I suppose. But yeah, I think there's something to that, actually.
I think there is as well.
And with Claudio leaving BCC, I think it's probably best for BCC and quite frankly best for AEW that they kind of split a little bit because they're kind of done with all they could with faction warfare and winning championships and all that. Give them some feuds against each other at some point because the alignments that they've had over the last 2 years, it's been flip floppy from week to week, from show to show.
Yeah.
So just give Moxie some freedom, give Brian some freedom. Claudio's a guy that probably needs a little bit of freedom from the group a little bit. So I
think so.
Clean slate.
Claudio's so good at a heel, but no one wants to boo Brian right now. So it's always such a weird dynamic when they're both trying to lean heel, but people are going to cheer Brian because he's Brian fucking Danielson. And that's nothing against Claudio because he's an incredible wrestler, but it's Brian fucking Danielson.
It is what it is, brother. Oh, by the way,
there is juice to a feud between those two because it was Claudio, it was Brian that brought Claudio in storyline for Forbidden Door 2022. So.
And I would be remiss to mention Brian's gear. He had the Seahawks colors again, like he did WrestlePurists last year.
Well, guy,
he's got good run out of that gear. Remember, there was one where he wore it somewhere else. You got to get maxed out your gear, bro. Here's what it is.
You are a maroon man, bro. It is what it is, Brian.
He is. Yeah. It's always weird when someone has gear in the same color for so long and then they suddenly switch it up. It's like I can't see Brian in anything that isn't maroon. It's weird. When a gear leans more white than maroon, I'm just like, this is wrong. Please go get changed.
You've done this for 30 years now, Brian. Let's dial it back a little bit, brother.
Anyway,
tremendous.
Ryan Sully, $50 Canadian super chat. Thank you so much. Hey WrestlePurists, sending my contributions to you via super chat. Thank you for all that you do. How do you guys feel about AEW advertising Double or Nothing as a triple main event with Anarchy in the arena, Monet Willow, and Swerve Cage? Makes me think Monet Willow won't be main eventing. Cheers. Thank you so much for this super
Yes.
chat. That is absolutely insane. We appreciate you probably more than you appreciate us, to be honest, because that is very crazy. And I hope you're enjoying the podcast right now. As to the second part, I think it's dumb. I think they should stand on business and just own up to what's going to be the main event.
Yeah, it's kind of a cop out. Like, there is no such thing as a double, triple, quadruple, octoroom main event, bro. The main event is what's closing the show. Period. Point blank. Cut and dry. Just say it's going to be Anarchy in the arena because we know it's probably going to be. It's the biggest story you've had on the entire programming. It's going to be your story of the summer and probably longer than that. We know it's going to main event. Just say it.
Yeah, well, I agree all around, but I will say there is like a part of me that pops for the whole shit that, you know, like the kind of like Don King-esque like triple main event. What do you mean main event? There's 3 of them. What do you mean? You know, like, yeah, sure, one of them's going to go
3
on
main
third,
events on a 5-match card, like,
because the best thing about wrestling is when they do the triple main event, they aren't even. It's not like they do like 3 last matches. It's like one of these matches is probably going to be at the end of like the first hour. Triple main event, you know.
My thing though is
it's
like,
dumb, but
say Anarchy Arena is going to close the show. I'm like 99%
convinced.
Sure of that.
Yeah.
What do you do with Mercedes and Willow? Do you open it?
I think if they can't main, I would open with the show with them.
And then Swerve Cage would probably be the second from last, right?
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
To be honest, you could flip. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, you definitely want to give Mercedes the absolute best chance in terms of atmosphere, because
I think it's open.
Yeah, if there's some rust there, having a red hot crowd will absolutely help them find their footing. You know.
Vegas crowds are kind of
that worries me. That worries me.
So I think they need to go on early in the night, because like when it gets to like that second to last match, like I love Swerve and I love Christian, and I think they're going to do a great job if that is the spot that they're in. But the crowd's going to be reserving themselves for Anarchy in the arena. It happens every year.
Yeah,
such a chaotic match too. It's just
it shouldn't be good.
And it's closed like every TV too. Dynamite, that is. It's like 4 straight. Yeah, I don't know. I will say that the crowd point is, we shouldn't forget that, because like this year's Double or Nothing looks a lot better than last year's on paper.
Yeah.
That crowd last year was kind of crazy. They were like, they were just sitting there, right? Yeah. So hopefully they're hotter this year. I don't know if they will be.
10,000 people too last year.
Yeah, it won't be as big a crowd this year, right? I don't know what they're trending towards,
like 6, 7, 8, because they're in MGM Grand, which is capped at around a little over 10, instead of T-Mobile, which is well over 20.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see. Eric, hopefully the crowd is better this year. That'll be important, I think, to the vibe of the show, even if the wrestling will be great. So,
also doing Anarchy in the arena at Double or Nothing every year is whatever. Why the fuck would you put a barbed wire cage match on the same show? That is my biggest complaint about this card.
That's the games you play when you put Malachi Black in a singles match.
It's that, but also Cope is, Cope has big ideas, doesn't he? He's got his, he's got a notepad and he's sketching cages, and
I really feel like he's just trying to rerun that Hell in a Cell match.
I absolutely think there's truth. The Malachi thing is a fair point, but I absolutely think this could just have. This has got Cope.
This has Cope's fingers. All over it. Like, really, it is fun to poke fun at Malachi Black and all that stuff. But Cope and bro, sometimes it's okay to just wrestle a match.
Like, I get it. Like, it's 100% a Malachi thing too. But at the same time, Cope, I love you, buddy. You've had a very fun run in AEW, better than I thought you would. It's not 2018, and this ain't 2018 Malachi, brother. It's 2024, my man.
But I kind of hope that the stipulation means that they're not going to try and have a classic that he would think he could have had with 2018. That's my one hope with it. But hopefully they bleed everywhere. All right, that's
as long as there's blood, I'll be happy. So thank you again, Ryan, for this.
Thank you so much.
Very, very much appreciated.
Very, very kind. All right, the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, unfortunately is out of Anarchy in the arena. They showed a video here of all the happenings from New Japan this past weekend, including that. Honestly, that is like a sickening visual. Yes, it's gross.
Sickening bomb.
Yeah. It's a
Gabe,
real
I'll find
shame.
you.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I don't know what I don't know if we've got any more details on it, but there was the shot of Eddie in the wheelchair, and I don't know.
Yeah,
He looked in really bad shape.
it looks like, man.
It worries me
I'm
quite a
gutted
lot,
for
if I'm being
him.
honest.
I really am gutted for him because he was kind of wrestling in a way that made me think he was having potential injury problems anyways. Yeah. We talked about this on a podcast about a month ago. I brought this up.
Yeah, after the Okada match,
yeah. That it was exactly that match, yeah. But taking that bump when Eddie's in the state he's in these days, I just hope he has a healthy recovery at this point.
Me too. I mean, yeah, totally wish him the best. It's one of those things that I'm going to try my best not to dwell on it because honestly, I think it's pretty alarming at this point in his career, right? Like, I remember Eddie talking about 10 years ago, Barry thought his body had like 5 years left, like I'm not sure how this is going to work out. I wish Eddie the best. Obviously, it's a bummer he's not in the match. They had a strong replacement, as we talked about earlier, but nonetheless, after that announcement was out there, and we kind of had feared it wasn't a big leap to expect it, was it, after that spot? The Elite had a promo, which Okada had like a hilarious sign-off onto Dex. He's been a highlight in this act. Right? He's been really good. Marcus, are you still popping huge for Okada in the Elite? I certainly am.
He's pretty good at this whole American TV thing, isn't he?
He is. He is.
I had high hopes for him, but like I crossed my fingers and I was like, please don't be creatively bankrupt with him. And to my surprise, they're doing the most inspired thing they could have possibly done for the import. They could have very easily just copy and pasted him from New Japan, circa 2018, like we all know him. But no, they took advantage of the fact that he's funny, he's really affable. He's still Kazuchika goddamn Okada in the ring. Has a great relationship with the Bucks. So just throw him in with the EVPs. Let him cook. Let him show off his personality. And obviously let him just do his thing in the ring. And you got magic. Yep. And they got more magic than I thought they would have.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I like we talked about it a little bit last week. I wasn't like super pumped for this run. And I've actually really enjoyed it. So, and it gives these matches like a different flavor because he's being this personality, right? And this is also... I think his in-ring works just better as this smug. Like, I think that was his best stuff in New Japan, was when he was the initial kind of young gun that was so arrogant. So, yep, good stuff. The FTR had a promo, I think right after this, that's what my notes say anyway, where they said there'd be a fourth man. Quickly want to note that it is one of my favorite wrestling tropes that when there's a guy injured, the heels immediately assume no one will take their place. Yeah. Always rules. Especially in this context, it's good because they're fighting the whole promotion. Like, that's it. 4 on 3.
Especially like you literally took out the other EVP and Tony Khan like in back-to-back weeks. You don't think they're just gonna allow them to come out there short-handed? Like...
Yeah, it ruled. Dex, a lot of Dex's promo content to Okada was basically New Japan just fucking sucks now, which I mean, it's just he's
this ain't a New Japan podcast.
No, it's certainly not. But points were made. The Young Bucks ad, Chuck. What did you make of this?
My
this
God.
was quite the deal. My goodness.
I sometimes think that there is no way they can top how ridiculous they are as on-screen presences. And then they put together an ad like this, where they have Okada being like, hey guys, use these with a pair of shoes. And it's the best thing I've seen in about 4 months. Very funny. I like these guys a lot. I think this has been incredible for their careers at this game, this stage of the game. And Okada's been incredible as well. It's all just very, very funny.
This was quite the deal. Dark Order got on TV via this too. That's like the first time I genuinely like gasped at first, like what is happening? Why are the Dark Order here?
You see, I did that, but quick little select. I saw this ad a while back, so I was like, "Oh, okay, there it is."
Really? Oh my goodness! There you go. All right.
I'm getting all the scoops from Marcus tonight. Damn, what can I drop? What do I know?
Let's go back to the strong style.
Yeah. Do you guys want to know who's winning strong style? I have no idea.
All right. The Bucks were up next. They had a match with Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Jack Perry was on commentary this, and I thought actually was honestly I thought it was the highlight was Jack on commentary.
He's better than Excalibur on commentary, funny enough.
Yeah, I thought he was funny. The match itself was like it was okay, right? Like I think that I think the issue is unfortunately Matt Sydal is still great, and I think Daniel still has his moments. But the problem is the AEW audience. I think is just they don't have any belief they're going to beat anyone, right? Like Marcus and I could get in there and be going, I guess they're giving Marcus and Albert a push, you know? It is what it is, man.
You know, for my EVPs, I'm going to do the right thing for business. I'm laying down.
There you go. But it's just, I don't know. That hurts the matches. I think that, there was no doubt as to the result. The match was fine though. Chuck, right? That's probably the best way to describe. What did you make of this tag?
I thought it was pretty alright. It did what it needed to do in terms of the Bucks getting even more heat on themselves, as they have been building and building forever, like over the past couple of months. And it makes me wonder what the culmination of it's all going to be, which I guess is the point. So they're achieving something in that role. And I popped for the biannual Christopher Daniels Dynamite match, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It was a TV tag match. No one's going to remember it next week. They'll remember the angle afterwards, though.
Yeah, which is important. Absolutely. We'll get to that in a moment. Marcus, what did you make of the match itself?
Well, not much that other than that. It was cool. It was all right. Mm-hmm. It's always really nice to see CD and Matt Sydal on television on the main show, getting a chance to wrestle and do what they do best. The Bucks are absolutely fucking outrageous. Big Matthew and Nicholas. And Jack Perry, I do have to give a special shout out to on commentary. He was hilarious.
He was good, yeah.
He was.
And that's hard that's a different skill than just kind of promo. Like he was on for 10 minutes, It's tough.
Yeah. Like if you told me 3-4 months ago that Jack Perry would come back to AEW, a legitimately good promo, I don't know what I would have said. But I'm very happy, cool. And honestly, this whole angle, just for that alone, is already a big success for me.
Yeah. I think that's the big takeaway they need to... We talked about follow-up earlier. When Blood and Guts is done, there needs to be a follow-up for Jack, right? Whatever that looks like, there needs to be something because I think he's made the most of what he's been given here. Post-match, as we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, Christopher Daniels was fired by our famed EVPs. And then poor Tony Schiavone. Tony has an all-time great, sad face.
He's so good at selling these angles. He's so good at it.
He's the best guy to get heat on in AEW, dude. He's the best. People hate when you fuck with Tony. So that was good heat for Jack, especially with, the Jack Tony things an easy, chord. So the post-match was the point here, right, Marcus? That was kind of the headline. This was pretty strong. Pretty strong stuff.
Yeah, firing someone like Christopher Daniels, well, I'll just say this. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, my dear old EVPs, all they do and all they have done for the last several months on television is just do what's best for business. And Christopher Daniels just simply wasn't living up to the mark. You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I understand the relationship. I understand the connection. But when it comes to personal relationships and business, it's like vodka and milk. You can't do it. Yeah, it is what it is. But that 30-day severance package is going to come in handy. His kids is going to eat. His wife going to eat. He going to eat. You got a month of pay. It's all right. We're going to be good. Yeah. It's all right, CD. Future endeavors, buddy.
Are you excited, Chuck, for the big Christopher Daniels NXT run?
I am. I think he can really make an impact on that.
He might be a little bit too young, honestly. But, yeah, I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, got to wait for him to age into the system,
Yeah.
A little too young and a little too, squeaky clean.
Bro, I think this was an interesting angle. More because of it kind of plays into the thing of these day one boys, even if they were brought in by the elite, that ain't when their alliance is always going to lie. So, and doing the whole "you're fired" thing, it's interesting. I don't know how much that actually. Obviously, he's not been fired from AEW. I'm very aware of that. But I don't know whether it's going to play into him coming back onto TV, whether he's just quietly going to retire. I don't know. I'm interested.
Y'all want to lead Hunter 2.0? except he actually wins a match.
Well,
Oh my god. If this is a big comeback for Frankie Kazarian, God bless. I'm here for it. I don't care. I loved SCU.
His entrance music was from Kazarian's band.
It was.
It was.
When Daniels when him and Kazarian lost the match to the Bucks in 2021. That after that, Chris kind of did quietly like step away for a bit, right? Didn't he not wrestle for a while after that? So I don't know. Chris is getting up there. He's got to be 50. I don't want to age the man, but he's getting up there, you know. So whatever he wants to do, obviously.
30-year anniversary last year. So
it was someone did a really cool feature about it.
I did.
British.
It's on the WrestlePurists website. It's called The Rise of the Fallen Angel. It's almost a year old.
I'm not too fond of that WrestlePurist account, you know.
No.
Oh, he's 54.
Who, Monty or Chris?
Well, I mean, Monty.
Yes.
He might be. This is true. Chat's right. Scorpio Sky's coming back. They're going to put the band back together.
Listen,
my God.
I would pop for it. I'm sorry. I am that person. I would pop for an
That's fine.
SCU reunion.
That's fine.
This is who I am as a wrestler, as a person.
They were a fun act. It's easy, like it's wild looking back now, but they remember like the early days, the Scorpio Sky singles buzz when they were still a team, when it was like, oh, they're going to break them out of this.
The tag tournament was literally of Scorpio Sky vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I kind of get it too, because like Scorp's work is really good. He never quite connected. Let's put it politely, to be honest, but it is what it is.
He's a solid enough wrestler. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
He's just not someone that is.
There's not a lot there.
A personable guy.
Yeah, there's not a lot to latch onto. All right. Quite the jump from that to Tony Storm's promo here. I think Tony's getting more ridiculous I have to say, I think the matches have got better, but even if they hadn't, her promos are like genuinely funny, I think, to be fair. This was another good one. Anything on this one, Marcus, from Tony, who was on fire here?
that ending line was so like quintessential timeless Tony, bro. You're gonna end up like everyone does in Vegas. Ass in front of your face, not knowing where your dignity at. Like, come on. Who comes up with this stuff? Like, this whole character, I'm convinced, is just a vehicle for Tony to just say whatever the fuck she wants to on TV.
I agree.
And get away with it, because she's so damn funny, bro.
She keeps pushing the line further and further forward. It's like
she does.
Because the way she delivers it, she can say outrageous stuff, and I think to most people they just pop because of the way she's delivering it. So it isn't even considered what she's actually saying. It's again, I understand we've had our conversation about her being the world champ, but it's a hell of a gimmick. I think it's fair to say, Chuck. Her execution is terrific. Any thoughts on this quick promo here?
I think that Tony Storm is probably the funniest person on the roster right now, and when you consider the fact that Okada has been hilarious, like. They've got some real funny people on the roster, but she is up there, and I think they're doing a really good job of subtly building to her versus Mariah, which I'm assuming is now going to be the all-in match. But like the way she keeps like doing like all this defending of Mariah, and Mariah's like really playing into it, but she's still running around and doing her stuff with Mina Shirakawa and all that. Like, I don't know, it's real subtle. Well, some of it is, some of it's like a brick to the face, but. They're doing a good job of maintaining the story, I think.
Yeah. I agree. There's different layers to it. Some of it's more concealed, and obviously the story itself is playing out. I get your point.
It's such a powerhouse of a gimmick. Like, sometimes I don't care as much if she's a face or heel. Now, in this feud with Serena Deeb, that's kind of a problem. But Tony's funny. The match will be very good because Tony rediscovered that it's okay to wrestle like Tony Storm again.
Yes.
And Serena's awesome. So I'm happy with that. But in terms of the crowd engagement, it's probably going to die a death, sadly.
That always concerns people. Serena's works great, but that's her as the baby face. Yeah. Hopefully they kind of just wrestle it the other way around if we're being real, right? That's the best thing to do, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's kind of sad. She's 0 for 2 on double or nothing matches, unfortunately, when it comes to the crowd engagement.
Yeah. That's a good call. I hadn't considered that. Malachi Black promo. He said that if he wins, Adam Copeland will kneel to the House of Black.
Yes.
Up next, Hook was in action. He got a quick win. A quick win. What?
He sure did. Nothing. Keep going.
You know.
Did something dramatic happen? Did I miss something?
It was just the way
crazy?
you covered the promo and didn't ask our opinions. You were just like, "Yep, next segment."
Yeah, that happened,
I'm a broadcast journalist, Joe. I thought I was
Yes.
just, I feared I'd done a spread his legs moment there. I was concerned. I know I said the word action.
The fact that has happened twice on WrestlePurists is the funniest shit ever.
Why not go for a third?
Oh, yeah, I don't intend to go for the third.
There will be no business of that on this
Hook
channel.
was back. He won a quick wrestling match, and then he got the microphone. And folks, if you watch this show a lot, you know that I'm very hesitant to make criticism like this. But I have to say, before we get to Jericho, and we will get to Jericho, I am not sure there is a more awkward promo in professional wrestling than Hook right now. He is. I actually feel genuinely like awkward watching him. It's uncomfortable watching him talk. He looks so unnatural. He's trying to project personality in a way that doesn't suit him. He's getting it's like one sentence he has to deliver sometimes. It sounds terrible.
It sounds like a Neanderthal discovering fire for the first time.
It's wild. It feels like it's the most performative thing. It's actually hard to even describe. Like, if you watch the show, I think you will know what I'm talking about. Like, it's the most play wrestler thing I've seen in some time.
Mm-hmm.
They need it. Honestly, I get wanting to make him get the reps, but this is TV, and I genuinely think he should just probably not talk. I don't know.
Yeah.
He wasn't the only issue here. Out came Chris Jericho. Now, the last couple of weeks, we've been happy to just kind of say, well, serious game. Serious game. Chuck didn't do that, actually. I'm not going to put Chuck in that. Last week, we did this.
I'll be very honest. There was a period where I was morbidly curious where the hell this is going to go, because the Shabbat match was actually kind of entertaining. Other than that, it's Chris Jericho in 2024.
Chris started cutting his promo. The crowd started trying to please retire. He had a line in response to it that was very much that of a man that thought he might get please retire chance again. So he had something up his sleeve, which fair play.
The awkward laughter too. I was like, all right, bro, it ain't landing.
These two characters, Jericho and Hook, have some of the worst chemistry as personalities that I have ever seen on a wrestling team. When they are on the screen together, there is zero chemistry. It's remarkable. Alongside each other, opposite each other, even the physicality here. Hook had to hit Jericho over there with the microphone and hit him with the bottom of the microphone and busted his head open.
That was so awkward.
That was insane, by the way, because he didn't make sound. Because he hit him with the. That's not the. Anyway, so all of this happened, and then Katsuyori Shibata came out. In the midst of all of this, the wrestler emerged. I don't know. I thought this was really, really bad.
It fucking sucked.
It was okay. Good. It wasn't just me. This was a rough one. Yep. Go for it, Joe.
I will not have people try to convince me that this stuff is good, because people are trying. People are just like, oh, but it's funny. Funny's not always good. Because, sometimes I laugh at it because it's actively hilarious, the stuff they're allowing on TV, considering what their roster is these days. Jericho in this gimmick I don't have words anymore, because I feel like I say the same thing every week I talk about it. It's so bad. Like, it genuinely is a waste of TV time, because it's actively not doing anything for Hook. Clearly, he has not improved at all in this run. Like, in the ring, on the mic, character, there's been nothing of value to come out of this. And I don't understand why they are still trying to force it onto the TV and have people try to engage with it, because the crowd clearly doesn't care either. They only popped for Shibata when he came out. And I don't have words for this anymore. That isn't just
the funniest part about the whole
ranting.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest part about the whole thing is, for 2 straight weeks, it drew really high in the demos for some reason.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. It's not going to go away.
I don't get it.
He's totally going to wrestle Swerve at some point. Like, it just is what it is. That's just happening.
Don't even.
Because we both know that's absolutely happening. Let's be real.
I know, but I ain't trying to put that out there in the universe, bro. It's happening. No, it's like
Um,
it's a combination of two really bad characters. One is just shockingly bad for someone with this experience. One is just like, bro, you don't need to be on television with how bad you've been. You can't even do a
Yeah.
simple microphone spot. You can't cut one simple line. And by the way, the further we go into this, he went over infinity with trying to cut promos on this show.
Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah. I mean, from a performance point of view, I actually find Hook to be alarming as a promo. Like it's
Like
yeah, it's not like rough around the edges. It's like holy shit, like it's bad. But with Jericho, it's his performance is like it's Jericho. But the problem I have with the gimmick is it's to me the depth is just as simple as like, oh, you guys think I'm bad? Like it's like yeah, man.
It's like I'm in on the joke, guys. No, the fuck you not.
Yeah. So and look, I think if Jericho was opposite someone that's more seasoned and frankly more interesting, maybe it would be less like immediate that I was like, okay, I'm out on this. But these two guys need to get away from each other, regardless of what they're doing individually. They need to get away from each other as soon as possible. They have shown no chemistry physically, as personalities, any shape or form. They need to get away from each other, regardless of what you think of the learning tree or Hook as a talent. That's almost separate at this point. Just get them away from each other. It needs to end
honestly,
in the next couple of
what
weeks.
they should do, honestly, really, Hook just win this damn belt back and retire that shit. Please.
Yes, agree completely. Such a crutch. The belt is such a crutch with Hook.
It's not even a real belt.
He's going in circles for a fake belt. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. It's clear Jericho's really trying with this stuff, and I think he's popping himself. And there's some like cute ideas. It's just
if you just went the fuck away like we wanted you to, I would probably be a little bit more receptive. But no.
Yeah, I thought this was bad. I thought it was the worst on the show by far.
I'm not buying into it. The last time I bought into a TV character, I then got burned 3 months later, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but enough about Jericho. Let's move on, right?
Yeah, that is genuinely my because I don't want to dwell on the things we don't like. It's just it is what it is, right? It's on the show. It's a shame.
It was genuinely a very good show.
It was.
I really enjoyed that much.
Speaking of such, Swerve Strickland had another killer promo.
Yes,
great promo, just as he did on Saturday, setting the stage for the Brian Cage match that followed it. Really strong promo here. Marcus kind of washed the taste out of my mouth after that last segment, right?
Oh, Swerve Strickland, you're so amazing, bro. I'm so fucked up about you. I was watching you 2022 move up, win those tag championships, have that feud with Hangman. The nigga drunk your blood. You won the world championship. And now here you are with your edge back 2 straight weeks. Oh man, it was beautiful. Like he talked like a man with conviction. He talked like he wasn't gonna be no damn pushover. He wasn't gonna be the whole hugging, kissing babies world champion that he thought they needed him to be. No, I'm back to being Swerve Strickland. I don't give a damn about what you think and what you finna do. I'm gonna go whoop your ass, count this paper, be the world champion, and call it a day. Mm-hmm. And I have to give a special shout out to the camera shot while he was walking out after he cut the promo. They followed him, then they cut to the live arena, came out. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree. And it feels like a necessary kind of little adjustment, Chuck, right? The way they've kind of presented Swerve over the last 2 TVs. Like, this is the guy I think people fell in love with. Let him be angry, let him kick ass. More on that later because I think there's a point to be made. But this was a strong promo, right, Chuck?
It was. We talked about this where, like, the first couple of weeks of him being world champion, he did do the rah-rah AEW, I don't condone the elite, blah, 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 blah. But now that we've moved past that and he's back to just being the Swerve Strickland that the AEW audience fell in love with, he has made such an impact as world champion in 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? I don't know how long ago the pay-per-view was at this point, but he has done an incredible job and he has really put his stamp on that belt. And people are going to remember this reign as Swerve's breakout moment in the industry because that's really what it is. He has proven himself over and over in the past couple of weeks as a top star and that he deserves this spot. And it's incredible. And I am incredibly happy for him.
Absolutely. He's reminding you every single week now that he's kind of flipped that switch, why he's the world champion in the first place and why people were so high on him. Because it's such a thing that in wrestling, right, where a guy who's just really, really fucking cool, all of a sudden he finally climbs the mountaintop and then they just strip everything away that we all fell in love with. Like when Randy Orton won the world title for the first time, like he just became a glad-heading babyface for no reason. And now Swerve, you kind of, I would say he teetered on that territory, but the whole rah-rah thing just wasn't.
It didn't suit him. Yeah.
No, I didn't suit him at all. And then the whole angle on Collision after Williams turned on him, he got his get back, and they cut that crazy promo backstage right after. And then this promo, and then the match we're going to get into, that's the Swerve Strickland that we all fell in love with, and that's the Swerve Strickland he needs to be.
For sure. Absolutely. Let's get into that match. Brian Cage, Swerve Strickland, they pushed a hell of a pace here, especially the first chunk of this into the break. They were going crazy. And we talked recently, there's a Brian Cage match where we kind of talked about how it felt like we were watching Brian Cage try to fit into like a traditional TV formula. Look, folks, your mileage may vary. You may not like the Brian Cage style, but it is very apparent that he needs to just be this guy. Let him do every move he can think of.
Yep.
He's a meathead wrestler, right? And there's a room for that. And I thought this was a blast because of that. Explosive. They had a couple moments where they missed what they were going for. But when you're going at this pace, the people are forgiving. They were kicking ass, they were into it. So I thought this was really strong, actually. Chuck, what did you make of Cage and Swerve?
I'm so glad that we did not get the cookie cutter version of Brian Cage again. And he just kind of went out there and did what he did best and spammed a bunch of moves and threw his weight around against someone that can throw weight back. And they were swinging the momentum back and forth. They were doing crazy shit and the fucking counters that they were pulling out for each other. Like, they know each other so well at this point. They were in a faction together for ages. It was really good. And they had really good chemistry in there. Yeah. And I actually think it was kind of unfortunate that it was a bit on the shorter side for a main event match. But I really enjoyed it. And if they run it back at some point, I wouldn't hate that either. So.
Yeah, it'd be interesting what they do next with Cage and the Gates of Agony, right? Because I think we all agree that it's for the best that Swerve dealt with them. You have to have a place on the card. But I'm intrigued kind of what role they're going to next. We shall see. Marcus, what did you make of the match itself?
Oh, I loved every bit of it. I especially loved the opening of it and how Swerve set the tone immediately. Like, this is a match where he's angry. They just turned on him last week. He's out for blood, and he fucking wrestled like it. So many times in these type of matches, you see guys come out and just, okay, I'm gonna feel you out. I'm gonna slap a hold on. Like, no, fuck that. He beat your ass last week. You got your get back on him a couple days later on Collision. It's your time to finally deal with the last straw, the tie this loose end up. Go at him. And I'm very glad Swerve did that. And again, but Brian Cage, he's Mr. Get My Shit In for a reason.
That's it.
Be that, and I'm very happy that he was that. And the spot I loved the most was around the closing stretch where Swerve did hit the arm breaker spot, right? And sometimes you know what people do where they just get the arm breaker spot. You don't really sell it very much. It's just something that happened. No, he did it and it went straight for the house call and got right to the finish. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree completely. And the post-match angle is a case of like where in a vacuum is a different conversation to overall, because we've all been super high on the Swerve presentation here. In a vacuum, I thought the post-match angle was awesome because the blood looked great, but it was hard not for to not like immediately go, I don't know if this was the time to get more heat on Swerve. And that's a delicate thing because I get you're trying to get sympathy on Swerve. You're trying to put doubt on, the Christian match. I get that. He kicked ass on Collision, but on Dynamite, he's been getting left laying in these segments. And I think while I get what you're going for, I think you have to be careful with that, would be the thing I would say. You want, when your top babyface gets left for dead, basically, that should be a really big happening. If you do it a lot, it ain't going to be a big happening, And it's like Swerve's, he's pouring blood. He has these great facials. His performance of it's not a performance thing. It's a case of, and I think AEW really struggles with this, like generally. You have to protect your baby faces in that regard. They have to kick ass more often than not. Because if they keep getting the shit kicked out of them, it's not a trend you want. So that's the only thing I'd say. But the angle itself was very well done. Right? Like, it was very well done. I just don't know if this was the time to do it, if that makes any sense. So, I don't know.
Especially considering the people that were involved. Wouldn't it be better if they did it last week and then did the match here? If they were going to do that?
Yeah, that's the thing I was kind of thinking was, there was a part of me that felt like they should have done that angle last week, and maybe this Mogul Embassy stuff could have come late. And I was kind of trying to figure out where the best way to do it. I don't know. It's a complicated thing because, again, like someone said it in the chat, and they're right. Like, they're trying to heat up the match, right? Like, that's the reality of it. They're trying to heat up the match, try to get heat on Christian. They're trying to make you doubt that Swerve can overcome this. But it is his first reign as champ, and you need to be a little bit careful with that. Charlie, what do you think? Does this make sense, or am I losing my mind here? What do you reckon?
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. There is quite a balancing act they need to do because there is value to the visual of your top champion getting the shit kicked out of them, and if you do that every week, you are devaluing that visual. And like Swerve, like I get he's on his own now, but like, come on, man. He just had that great match, and I get they wanted to get heat in like his home state, and like I don't know. I feel like they should have not done what they did last week. But then again, when you do the swap over, like it was a hard thing to navigate, and I hope they don't like lean into it too much going forward. And the next week is literally the go home show. He needs to be like, I would like to see him standing tall before the pay-per-view. But I don't know. It's a weird thing to do, especially when it's like this is a babyface that has absolutely no like friends in the business right now. Like, who the hell's going to come back up Swerve? Like, he's cut off. Like, he's burnt all his bridges, really. Like, there's no one he can turn to. So, I don't know. It's weird. It's real weird.
It's like the theme of his title reign so far is basically people getting their get back on him for everything he did in the last several months.
Which makes
sense. Penance.
He's makes sense.
Yeah, it's just you gotta strike a balance between him still being that cool guy we all fell in love with in spite of his actions, and also be like, yeah, I get what they're coming from. They did kind of have that coming. Yeah, you gotta have a balance there.
For sure, like the Mogul Embassy thing was, they did have to kind of tie that loose end up, right? Because it was like, it's placement, and like you would assume, honestly, that the go home, you would assume the heels would get some heat to go into the show, but I wouldn't want to do that now, right? Like you just did this free, so yeah, we'll see. But that's something to monitor. Look, in terms of performance and reaction, this was a great week for Swerve.
Oh, love the angle. He was pissing blood. It was something else.
Absolutely. All right, this was a big one. Up next, this got a lot of reaction in my mentions. Hook and Shibata were backstage, and the big man Samoa Joe emerged from the shadows.
Sure did.
And I had a whirlwind of emotions because it was like, oh my god, he's going to wrestle Katsuyori Shibata, and then I kind of realized, oh my god, is he now in the learning triangle? And this is phenomenal for me. I said it last night. Like, I'm not even trying to be silly. I just, for my own happiness and enjoyment of this great sport, if he is in the learning tree, Charlie will be hosting this show for a while. So
you've already done the negotiations.
It is what it is, folks. We have hills we've got to die on. That'll be mine if it happens. But this was quite the deal. And Shibata had that great line too.
Why you cook him up like that though?
Dude, that was crazy. Did you see someone logged on and immediately said that he dunked on me?
Yep.
That was crazy.
You can't put big lads in a box as to what they can and can't wear, but it was incredibly funny because, like, the idea of, firstly, the fact that he does it with the phone deal.
Yeah, the translator.
The idea that, like, within the universe of AEW, Samoa Joe is going to watch the TV show and be like, well, hold on. He becomes aware that he got absolutely eviscerated as he walked off. This was actually an interesting development, right? In terms of like, what does this mean? Is this going to be some sort of, Samoa Joe, faction? I don't know, whatever it goes. I saw a lot of that speculation today. Hook's promo again was what we talked about earlier, but an interesting development, right? Marcus, this was an interesting development.
No, like I actually, in a vacuum, I actually really, really liked the premise of what they were going for, especially with Samoa Joe in relation to Hook. Because he had that really killer, like, mini feud with him at the top of the year. Had that really, really fun match. And then what happened after that? And now Samoa Joe's thing's like, bro, what the fuck? You said you was coming after me. You had all this confidence when you faced me. Now look at you. And now you're getting pitted against Shibata, with fucking Jericho? Like, what's up with that? Like, he's basically come up like an OG, like, hey, look, bro, this ain't it. And then, like, the Hook thing is just so funny. He's like, I'll fight you, Joe. I'll fight you. Like, bro, you don't want the props again.
It was so bad.
You ain't
It
His
got
was
it.
quite
delivery.
brutal.
And it's more apparent opposite Joe because Joe has great delivery, right?
Yeah.
Like everything he says, you believe. And that's, look, some of that's just, I'm no doubt it comes with experience and confidence. And that's why I almost feel bad how much we're dwelling on it, but it's so apparent he just feels so uncomfortable as a promo right now. But nonetheless, Chuck, you're the resident fantasy booker around here. I know you haven't got the whiteboards up yet, but it's
I
in
have
motion.
not.
What do you think
It
this is
is.
going? I'm intrigued. What do you reckon this is headed to?
Well, I don't know.
You seem concerned. I'm going to be honest.
I am very concerned. Samoa Joe's on TV. I really enjoy that. I think he should wrestle Shibata. Chris Jericho is very unfortunate being involved in this. Like, I don't know, man. What do you want from me here? I can't make gold out of shit. Like, there's not a whole lot here.
Yeah.
What it is, man. You just gotta.
If you took Jericho out of the equation and you just had Hook getting the shit kicked out of him by Joe again and be like, damn, I need to go back to the drawing board and actually like improving his game and learning under Joe's guidance and Shibata's guidance, sign me up. I would be all over that. However, we have Chris Jericho, who is the learning tree, who is the character that I want Joe and Shibata to be in this situation.
See, that's the thing about this whole thing is that deep down, the more you like parse through it, there is something there. Like there
is something to the idea of a veteran. I wouldn't call myself the learning tree as a veteran, but it's Chris Jericho. There is something to the idea of them taking young talent under their wings and bringing them up. It's like what Brian wanted to do with Danny. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's just the pieces are all like all over the place.
Imagine the exact learning tree act, but just it's Samoa Joe. Like he does the voiceover and everything. He has the theme.
It'd be very funny and very throwback to what he was doing in TNA, but it's much more convincing because one, Samoa Joe can walk if you put him with the right opponent, and two, he's just so damn convincing as a character and as a person on television. Mm-hmm. Jericho
Jericho. It would kind of roll like the idea of Joe knowing that he's at a point in his career where he's like, he's got more time behind him than in front of him. Right, and kind of looking ahead at who's going to take the mantle. It would be pretty cool. I don't know if that's where they're going. It's been a while since Joe was a faction man, but yeah, we'll see.
Joe just picking up young kids from the roster, being like, the rest of these guys are too soft. I'm going to make you a killer. I dig that. I can get with that.
He's kind of a dick, but he rules, so people just cheer him anyway, right? Like,
he's like bullying them into being great wrestlers.
It would feel like a fresh thing for him, and to be honest, I don't think he needs freshening because the reaction he got here backstage was wild. So we'll see. I mean, that's something positive coming out.
You only graduate Joe's dojo when you beat him in a match, like.
Yeah, I do think there's something to it. I'm not sure it's what we'll get, but I think there's something to it. All right,
Chris Jericho, please retire. Anyway,
up next,
we have a super chat. Should I read it?
Yes, go for it. Yeah, go for it, Chuck. Go for it.
Yazura Hart, $20. Thank you very much. Double or Nothing is on Fraud Watch. The last 2 years were the worst AEW pay-per-views of those years. Aside, I think the Elite versus AEW should continue to expand and involve more people until it's most of the company, the women too. Yes, and yes.
Yeah. Yeah, 2022 Double or Nothing, I think, still going on, right? I think
I actually very much like that show.
I actually really like
It's just a lot of matches.
It was really long. Yeah.
It was 13 matches long, including the pre-show.
I get why they do because they were going up against Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, so they tried to backlog it so they wouldn't miss all the important stuff when the game's still going on. But goddamn, was so many matches.
This super chat actually inspired a question that I wanted to ask you guys. This is a conversation I had with someone earlier. Who are two people, one for each side of the team, like not outside picks in terms of outside the company, but people on the roster you wouldn't really think about in terms of teams AEW and teams Elite that you want them to recruit? Because I have an answer for this, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Team. Oh my god! I just saw that Jericho had the highest rated segment again. Sorry, that derailed me.
Christ.
Okay.
I'm avoiding that.
I think I don't want to go to the Mercedes Willow feud because I feel like we've discussed that a lot, and so I'll leave that there. You were the one who first brought that up anyway, Chuck. I'm pretty sure about Garcia. Darby's already involved. I don't know. Marcus, anyone come to mind? I know Chuck's gonna have something up her sleeve. She's fired
I
up.
do. I have an idea.
I actually got one. How about Athena?
Oh shit!
Good choice.
Yeah. How about
Which
like
side
if
you
you
put?
want?
What side?
So if you want to put her on Team Elite, you could basically have them take credit for her finally getting on television.
Yes,
after,
that's
like,
the
the last
play.
year.
That is
That's
the way
awesome.
to do it.
The only issue with that would be it would make me cheer the Elite, which is not really what they're going for.
I mean, I'm
I'd be like,
anyway.
hell
It is what it is.
Hey man.
I'd buy a shirt.
Hey,
They got
special
Athena on
business.
TV. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something to that. That's actually a good call. Anything that gets Athena on TV, I think we're in for, right? But yeah, it's a good one. All right, Chuck, let's go for it. I know you got something. You're ready to go here.
I do. They recently signed a wrestler that I'm a big fan of, and he had a little run of matches on TV, and I think it'd be a cool way to cycle him back in. Brian Keith on Team
That's a good one.
Elite.
My God.
Recruit a bounty hunter, put some bounties out on some talent that are talking
That's
bad
good,
about the
actually.
Elite.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
And I think that's
yeah.
where you bring back Bandido to Team AEW, because Bandido versus Brian Keith is just a match I want to see.
You cooking. Because with Brian Keith, because I don't want people like full on joining the Elite and just mucking money in the waters.
Associates, right?
Yeah, like satellite like
Do
associates.
some
here and there.
deals.
Brian
And if you
Keith.
want to bring up
Where does Chuck
Athena
get
on
these
mine,
things from? Amazing.
right?
Brian Keith.
And, like,
I
on
have
mine,
a
the
good
thing, like, if you want to bring Athena up to Team AEW, she has to have a foil, right?
Yeah.
How about someone like, say, Queen Aminata?
I co-sign. Good booking meeting here. Same. Good stuff.
Gotta fight fire with fire. She's a powerhouse. Aminata's a powerhouse. Let them cook.
Queen she needs to be on TV just like Athena does. Dude.
Yes.
She's tremendous.
Yeah. It's like I get why they're doing the whole Ring of Honor thing, but it's like she's too good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh God, we have another super chat, Chuck.
We do. I probably should. Sorry, I got
No,
real fired up.
fine.
I like doing the fantasy bookings, so that was a
It's
good
fine.
opportunity.
I just saw it was. Yeah, here it
Yeah.
is.
Darren Walker, it has been a while. I hope you're doing well. £5 super chat. Joe versus Jericho at All In is the feud we have been waiting for. I no longer hope you're doing well.
I'm sitting on the floor for that show. There's no reason to talk me like that.
Also sitting on the floor for that show.
Chuck, you go to a lot of wrestling shows. I mean, that's 4 months ahead of me, and I'm like scheduling it in my calendar, you know?
Yeah, you trying to check it off and you trying to make them all sad and depressed for the show? Come on, now.
I'm already preparing for Joe versus Hook, and he's throwing this at me. So, yeah.
Well, no better than the opponent that I've given Jericho at All In with my not fantasy booking, because that's not the right word. I don't want this match to happen. But what I was kind of like, yeah, Jericho's going to angle for that.
Don't say it.
I'm not repeating it.
Yeah,
people know.
okay.
If people know, if people have watched the show, they know.
Okay. Harley Cameron versus Tony Storm.
Yeah.
In the end of this match, Serena Deeb was watching on. This was all right, wasn't it? This was okay. I thought Harley had a better showing last week, but I also think that if you had 10 wrestlers wrestle Mariah May on TV, they'd probably have a better showing just because Tony's obviously not going to wrestle that well. Mariah May wrestles every TV match like it's Wembley. So,
right.
But I thought it was okay. Like, I gotta be honest, Harley's been better than I thought she'd be, to be completely real. I think she may end up being quite good. I don't know if she's there yet, but she's had 2 decent TV shows. I thought this was fine. Marcus, what did you make of Tony Storm and Harley Cameron?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Tony wrestled pretty solidly. She's been on the run of actually remembering that I'm Tony fucking Storm. So that's been a big benefit. And as far as Harley Cameron goes, like, she's not particularly like good per se, but she's also been there 2 straight weeks on Dynamite with 2 very talented wrestlers in this division. And she hasn't embarrassed herself, and she's held her own in some ways. So maybe give her some time. I'll give her a little bit of grace here. She might end up being something down the line where she's a funny little comedy heel that you could throw out there on like a Rampage or a Baby Collision if you want to.
Yeah.
And she could do something funny because personality-wise and crowd interaction-wise, she's pretty damn good at it.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
she's kind of insane, and it suits her. very well.
There is definitely a role for her on a wrestling show, and the
Mhm.
last 2 weeks have suggested that may not necessarily be outside the ring the way you would have assumed before. The way she was used before, I didn't even know this. Like, she was really capable of having matches like this. So yeah, and not to overstate them, like, but they've gone without incident. There's been much worse
Yeah.
matches on Dynamite, and over the
Much
months and
worse.
years,
Mhm.
like infinitely
She
worse.
seems very game. Like, she's very game
Yes.
in the ring, which is something that women on that roster have lacked sometimes. Like, she's not
Mhm.
afraid to, but she bumps quite well, to be fair. Like,
I agree.
she's entertaining at this point, and I think that she has the ability to improve. And I'm not going to write her off because she's
Right.
had 2 matches and she's been serviceable enough in them. I think if she
Yeah.
gets the reps on Ring of Honor, she could be something.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, like I don't know if she needs to wrestle on Dynamite for a while after this because she's wrestled 2 straight Dynamites, and this is what it
dial
is.
back a
but-
little. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think they have 3 TV shows and they have Ring of Honor. Like, keep her in the ring and she'll probably get better. Based on the fact that she looks like this after having a long time without wrestling, I'd imagine she'll get better pretty quickly. So
Yeah. And she
yeah, this
wrestles
was
outside the company pretty somewhat frequently too, so that's also
There you
a
go.
plus.
That's always a good sign. All right, this next segment was one of the best things on the show, and it stunned me how good it was.
I was
Will
shocked.
Osprey, Roderick Strong, face to face, which I was very alarmed by this being an advertised segment. It was actually backstage, and it had this incredibly, considering what Roddy's been for the last year. This was kind of like straight laced sports style wrestling. It was like shit talk before a big fight. And Marcus, you mentioned before we went live, they had those camera shots when one guy was talking.
Mhm.
Osprey's been great since he got there on the microphone. I thought that was the same here. But this was probably the best promo that Roddy's ever cut, I think. He's never going to be someone who talks in like like he has his, Roddy speaks the way he speaks, but I thought his content was good and he made me laugh by simply declaring that Osprey's dumb. So this like honestly did more for this match than like anything else they've done because they haven't really done that much for it. And I think we all know how good the match is. This was a hell of a segment, Chuck. What did you make of the face-to-face?
Absolutely. Like, anyone that's a wrestling fan is going to enjoy this match at surface level anyways because it's Roddy Strong and Will Ospreay. But they gave you history. They gave you a reason for these guys to be wrestling. That isn't just, I won a gauntlet match like a couple of weeks ago. And I was just like, oh shit, they actually brought up the fact that this wouldn't be the first time they have shared a ring. They have clashed in many promotions across like the UK and America and maybe in Japan as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like, I don't know. I really enjoyed this. Osprey has surprised me every week. It feels like he's getting better every week, which is crazy because he started off pretty damn well with promos, which I was already shocked about, but hell of a performance from Roddy. And him calling Osprey dumb popped me greatly because I was just like, yeah, Osprey probably agrees. Like,
I could tell this was good because I wasn't sure where the line was between fiction and reality in terms of their history. Because I could absolutely see 2015 Roddy being like, look at this fucking,
Yeah.
this flippy dude,
2015 Osprey probably deserved it.
Right? I was listening to like, interesting. Marcus, what did you think of this?
Progress Law is very funny as well.
Yes, indeed.
Making it to American TV is hilarious, but like, I absolutely fucking loved this.
Yeah.
Like, it was what it needed to be, especially if you're gonna have Roderick Strong talking with a live microphone or whatever. It was just straight up, like, you see like those little boxing face-offs or like a UFC face-off. It was just 2 dudes talking shit, saying, hey man, you used to talk down on me everywhere I've been, every indie we ever wrestled at. I'm that guy now. I'm finna take that title from you. This signifies that I'm the best wrestler on this roster and on the damn planet. Let's lace it up in Vegas. And Ryan's like, dude, you're just a fucking idiot. You damn right I respect you. Like, it was just very earnest and just very, very to the point and straight laced, which is, if you're gonna have Roddy talk, that's what he needs to do and doesn't have to do the whole like, well, type thing that he'll be doing, right?
Yeah.
Just let him just tell it like it is. Just let him be honest. Let him be a real person, and it'll come off. If it's not great, it'll at least be believable. And to my surprise, it was both here. And again, like the way we were talking about backstage with the camera shots, like every time somebody talked, it would go right over Osprey's shoulder, and you would basically see Roddy's reactions to what Will's saying, like in a regular conversation. and they'll switch over to Roddy, and you see the opposite, where when you see him call Osprey a dumbass, you see Osprey's face like fuck you. You know, like that was a really nice touch. I love everything about that.
Yeah.
It does pop me huge that Osprey is finding ways to swear on national TV without Americans actually realizing he's swearing. Like he called them bellends about 4 times. That wouldn't fly on a show over here. Like it was saying he was like piss poor. I was just like, brother, you are dropping all the swear words. Are you aware that you are swearing on national TV?
Remember?
Are the people backstage aware? Like, do they know what?
Probably not.
It just
probably not.
Probably not. He's going to call someone a twat at some point, and people are going to be like, what?
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Tremendous.
Good stuff. It does pop me a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot about how believable this was, that like, even though we all know where this is headed, Roddy actually did sound like someone who believes he's going to win, which is like what every promo should actually strive for. Right? Beyond anything else, you left this thinking like, that dude really believes he's going to win this match. That's wrestling right there. This was very effective. That match is going to be spectacular in Vegas. It's going to be a classic. That segment started a kind of block of this show that I just thought was superb, honestly. I thought the rest of the show was decent, but this is where the show really got rolling. Contract signing, the third of those kind of advertised talking segments, Willow Nightingale, Mercedes Moné. This one, there was a lot of potential on, because last week we talked about how kind of the build had been steady and decent, but they hadn't given it main event focus. This was going to be the segment to change that. In-ring, contract signing, live promos. And I thought this went about as well as you could have possibly hoped for. I thought this was like a really, really strong segment. Willow Nightingale with yet another great promo. How far she's come in that regard is remarkable. Her babyface energy and her fight. And also, she had some great content here too, by the way, lest we forget. Mercedes, far stronger, as we've talked about, leaning into this heel kind of role here. And her confidence was center stage. Then we had some physicality and the big powerbomb, which the place exploded for. This felt main event, which isn't, again, even though there's been good things in this build, it's generally not felt like a main event happening.
Mm-hmm.
This time it did. Marcus, we talked about it last week. That was a big deal. What did you make of the contract signing?
Man, first, I'll just start by saying, like, y'all know how I feel about contract signings in wrestling. It's like, you've seen 100 of them. You've pretty much seen all of them. But this right here, this was ace. Like, Willow came off as the baby face of the company, like the top baby face in the company. She rattled off the history of TBS, of how important this belt is to her, how important this belt is to wrestling and to this company. She put up her stat in the back, which is a very nice touch. I love that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brought it and she related it to what her trial says, which is nothing matters, file anyway. But this belt right here matters to me a hell of a whole lot. And with Mercedes, like, a lot has been made of her promos and how like unhuman they sound at times. But the last couple of weeks she's been a lot better at it. And here, this is where I think she came off the best for me.
Agree.
Where she was like, "Well, you were still training. I was breaking down barriers. Like, you talk about making history to me. I am history." And it's like, even if you lose, it's still the best thing to happen to you, because you're going to be a footnote in my legacy, which I thought that was a really good response from her also. And then you got straight to brass tacks with Willow. She was like, "All right, that's cool. Last time we wrestled, I walked out a champion and you ain't walk out at all." I was like, "Oh,
great
shit."
Great line. And perfectly transitioned the physicality, because that felt like the kind of line that someone threw a punch on. Right? That was a whoa.
Yeah. And that's the thing I loved about Willow as a babyface right now, is that she's so lovable. She's so affable. Everyone loves her. Like, she walks out, you just want to dance. You just want to hug her damn near, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she's not a damn wilting flower. She's a regular person that's going to stand up for herself.
Yes.
She's going to bleed. She's going to put you to a damn table. She's not intimidated by who she's standing in the ring across from. Like, she's just the damn ace of this company, you know?
Yeah. I genuinely, like we talked about a little bit last night, Marcus, that's her. I think that's her spot. I think she needs to be like one of the absolute faces of the entire company. I think
absolutely,
and I think we're currently watching that ascent happen. Hopefully in 6 months that's cemented, right?
Yes. Hey man.
Look, maybe.
If this was a different type of company, I would agree.
Nightingale's ceiling as a wrestling star and attraction, I think, is like genuinely crazy. I think we're only just scratching the surface. And if Mercedes is going to add to her legacy that she's going to be the one that gets, helps that ascend, that'd be pretty sweet, to be honest with you. So
yeah, like we talked about it yesterday, where it was like,
yes,
it went from Mercedes is going to be the ace of this division to, lo and behold, they already had the ace of the division all along.
Yeah,
and she's just the perfect foil for her.
Exactly. The comparison you made was Dusty and Flair. I think it's perfect. That's exactly it. Like it's a dynamic you can go back to over and over again. So
yeah,
this was a hell of a hit here, Chuck. What did you make of the contract signing?
I loved this segment, and I think it did exactly what it needed to do going into this feud, going into the last week before the pay-per-view and that. And the feud's been pretty decent, in the build, but they really killed it here. And I like that Willow showed some fire, and she's not just laying down being like, oh my god, you're Mercedes Moné, you're the biggest wrestling, the women's wrestling star in the world. She is showing some cockiness in her ability to be a champion. With that last line, she was just like, you didn't walk out, which is a change of tune to what she's done in previous weeks, where she's been so apologetic about all of that. And with the way that Mercedes has been acting, it's just yeah, damn right, she should talk some smack back. Mercedes kind of walked all over her since the minute she walked into the company. So I'm really excited for this match. And as much as Anarchy in the arena is going to be fucking incredible, I half wish it wasn't on this pay-per-view, because I really do think they should be the main event. But
yeah.
It is what it is, but they're going to fucking kill it.
I definitely get you, because it does feel like a chance to make a statement in that regard, in terms of intent.
You only get one first Mercedes match, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You brought it.
Opening the show is going to be just as fucking cool if that's what they go with. I think. So.
Yeah, I get it. It's the easy thing to do. Is the elite stuff is the biggest story they have going, and it's going to be the biggest story they have going for a while. But yeah, you brought Mercedes in here for a reason, right? To be the change in this division that it's needed for a long time, to be that big star, to have these big time matchups with Willow like this. And they've done in one segment, they sold this as, this is the TBS damn championship. This means everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the people's arguments of Anarchy in the arena being this sort of match that they'll have to clean up the arena for, they're not going to run a wrestling match after that. They ran Stadium Stampede in the middle of the show at Allin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not.
It's not a valid excuse.
No,
they have no reason to not run this as the main event, in my opinion.
Unless something's happening at the end, and I get it, but if there's an angle, I'll bite my tongue on it. But right now, I'm standing on the fact.
I would say is, this is the kind of feud where hopefully this will spark many rematches that feel bigger, and that's the hope. You're right, you only get one shot Mercedes in-ring debut, but with what they've currently found with this dynamic, this really should just be the start of something great. So,
I have no doubt that this will be the women's division's Hangman Swerve. That's just absolutely how it should be treated.
Which doesn't mean you're wrong, because I think there's absolutely merit to what you're saying. I just hopefully, in where it's full gear in 6 months, we'll be there's no doubt their main event this show. Whatever show it is,
absolutely.
We'll see. It's definitely saying that that's going to be a topic until it gets there, right? It's a huge deal. Matters a lot.
And on top of that, I always will be remiss. Willow's wrestling 10 fucking Nakano.
Willow is wrestling in Japan this weekend. What a fucking woman, man.
That was so awesome when they threw that graphic up the other week. I popped huge. I was like, good God.
Bro, I was literally in Cardiff, waiting to get on my coach, and I saw this graphic pop up on my timeline. I was just like, what the fuck is happening on Collision?
Yeah. That's what everyone thought, to be fair. It was wild. All right, folks, we're about to about the main event. So, final call on Super Chats. You've all been great tonight in that regard. We appreciate the support. If you've enjoyed the show, look, we need 2 hours deep. Now, we basically are 2 hours deep, folks. Please do hit the thumbs up. And after this, I'll give you guys some things you can comment below. I need to think of them, though, because I'm starting to forget, what we talk about. So now I'm losing even that bit that I do. It's unfortunate. Dex Harwood. Yeah, indeed. Dex Harwood, Kazuchika Okada, main event match. I thought this ruled. Of course I did. No one's surprised by this. You could have predicted that I would like this, but I thought this was this compared to the Dynamite match was a great example of Dax shifting his role, right? He was the underdog here and he wrestled like the underdog. Okada really beat the hell out of him, but whenever Dax had an opening, he would fire a chop or throw a punch or make him earn it and kind of being tough and rugged in there. Hell of a match, I thought. This is a really strong dynamic. I'm glad we got this as a singles. We'll get to the post-match in a moment, even though we talked about it quite a bit earlier. Dax and Okada, strong main event, I thought. Marcus, what did you make of this?
I do like the dynamic here, and I do like what they've done with Okada. And in all of his matches, if it's someone that's like presented in AEW as a top guy, then they'll wrestle to his level. But for someone like Dax, who, as good as he is, and then as good as he's shown he can be, he is still a tag wrestler. So it's going to be more 60-40 in Okada's favor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like that. You got the DT on the outside, you had the drop kick, obviously the fuck you of a Rainmaker you hit on him at the end. But Dax really held his own, even though he's kind of bad. He's kind of beat up. He's, all the fun in the fair. No, I'm just playing. Now he did his thing. He played his role well. I like the pin counters they tried at the end. Like that was really fun. The slingshot Liger Bomb he does, like, God bless Dax, bro. He tried his very best to not drop Okada on that.
That was the main. You could see it in his face, right? Like, yeah, that was the main thing. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I'm always a sucker for Continental title matches because I love the presentation.
So,
it's a sports style feel. You had Renee doing like sideline commentary, a college football game. That's great. And with the thing with the Elite, like they're underhanded dickheads, right? And pretty much anything goes in these matches. But with the Continental belt, with Okada holding it, you have the advantage of he's probably going to cheat this match, but there's no outside interference. People can't come out there to help him. There's no Jack Perry. There's no Matthew and Nicholas. So we can just wrestle this one-on-one. But the other caveat is, it's Kazuchika goddamn Okada. He's one of the best wrestlers to ever walk on this planet. So you're kind of already on the upper card here, but you still have a shot because it is, for all intents and purposes, a straight-up wrestling match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think Dax's singles record is like 2-12, 2-13, something crazy. It's like hilarious.
And one of them is against Cash.
Yeah, you're right. He's got 2 wins, one against his tag partner, one against an unsigned wrestler. But I think, I think they do a good job of it. Never feels, to me anyway, these matches always feel honest in terms of what we expect to happen, right? It's like generally in this match in particular, it's Okada taking most of it. It's just kind of gritting his teeth and trying to make it hard for him, basically, is what he's doing. I think that worked well here. Chuck, what did you think?
I think there's a real charm to a wrestler like Dax being kind of beaten up and that's showing in his work. And then you have a heel like Okada who's an absolute prick and is going to take full advantage of that. And it really worked for them in this match. And I really enjoyed this main event more than I thought I was going to. Not because of IFTR bad a lot, because I do that sometimes, but I love tag team wrestling. I put the bit aside. Shut up, Marcus. But I don't really enjoy. I don't really enjoy Dax as a singles wrestler necessarily, but I think it really worked in this match, and they did the damn thing, man. And Okada is a prick and is doing some of his best work in ring that he's done in years. So good stuff, great stuff, honestly.
This match was summed up by a moment in picture-in-picture, where Okada was kicking ass and was being arrogant about it, and Dax stood up, got in his face to throw one forearm, and then immediately got hit, knocked over again. And of course, Okada is towering over him. But that's the match, right? It's basically Dax refuses to die, and Okada very smugly, very arrogantly, until he gets himself in a little bit of trouble at the end there.
That tombstone, holy shit!
Yeah.
Good God. Yeah, hell of a match, I thought. And I thought it closed. We'll get to Darby in a second, but it was a really strong episode. And part of that was this moment with Darby Allin going off the air. A genuine surprise, because who on earth would have expected Darby would be back this soon? I don't know if he should be back this soon, but I'm not a doctor. AO is. So,
yes, AO is the doctor.
Yeah, but I mean, what a great way to go off the air, right? Hot angle, strong main event, 2 great angles before that. Really, really strong close to this show. We kind of talked about it earlier, so we'll just go around the room one last time. Chuck, anything else on the addition of Darby Allin and this post-match angle?
Well, I thought he wouldn't be back until Blood and Guts. I was once I got over like my shock of it, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was just like, oh
Yeah.
shit, Darby's gonna do something crazy. So I can't wait to see what it is. Honestly, I'm terrified for the man, but I've also watched him throw himself through a glass pane. So and he walked into a media scrum after that. So whatever. He's gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna pop for it like mad.
It feels pointless to try and police or control Darby at this point, right? It's not how. I mean, I don't know how he still manages to do any of this stuff, so we'll see.
Crazy.
But he's in the match, and I'm excited about it. Great replacement, Marcus, right? Any other thoughts on Darby?
Bro is such a cartoon character, right? He gets hit with the craziest of injuries. He got a fucking bus not that long ago. According to him, post-show, he got hit with like a pole underneath the ring. So he's probably, because we don't know. But hey, man, he is the perfect crash dummy that Team AEW needs, though. And vice versa, my EVPs are going to show the boys and girls why you don't come back so soon from injury and why you don't be so irresponsible.
Reckless.
Exactly.
It's a fair point. Team AEW's kind of in pieces. They
are held together by thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers and Dax's bourbon.
Yeah. There you go. All right, folks, there it is. Another Dynamite in the books. Very, very strong show. There you go. Chuck, let's get to these last couple super chats.
Let's do that. Anas the Sultan, $5 super chat, thank you. Dax bragging about Cash beating the case. These whites need to be stopped.
I agree. You can't allow this behavior on our airwaves.
Someone needs to clip for Chuck reading. These whites need to be stopped.
That's probably a clip I'd get a lot of use out of, to be fair.
But again, my EVPs are not going to allow this thuggish behavior to take place on the mothership, on the superstation, on their sacred airwaves, in the Double or Nothing. They're going to put him in a chain gang.
The superstation pop, man. That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Thank you.
Last super chat, Anas again. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Wrestling is an immortal art form. People getting worked over Shivani in 2024 still. Beautiful. He's one of the best.
Oh, he's
we had a 4-hour episode of this pod where someone got worked over it. So,
I wasn't on. All right. There we go, folks. Dynamite review. Now, here's what we need you to do. We're about to do some plugs. We're about to do some promotions. We need you to show us some love. We need you to like this video. We need you to subscribe. And then we need you to comment. My suggestions for comments. If you want to do a wrestling comment that's actually somewhat insightful, comment what you think should main event Double or Nothing. All right, that's a good one.
Yes.
Comment that. Well, as soon as we go off here, do that. My personal preference would be that you comment Brian Keith. What I want you to do is either pair it with a question mark or an exclamation mark. If it's an exclamation, it means you think it's a good idea. If it's a question mark, you think it's a bad idea. I want to know what the people are saying. As soon as this video gets done, that's what you need to comment. Marcus, any plugs, any promotions, mate, go for it.
I would just like to say, if Brian Keith, by some miracle, is added to this Team Elite storyline, I want my EVPs to give him back steel tipping on a permanent basis.
Yes. I agree.
I ain't really got too much to plug other than my podcast I plugged last week, Inside the Swamp. Y'all follow that on Twitter at inside_swamp. We're going to talk about Florida Gators football and whatever the hell else. So y'all go look out for that.
Oh, yeah, bro. There you go. All right. Folks, Late Night Grin tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern. Double or Nothing preview. We're going with that a little early because next week is the WWE shows the whole thing. I only have so many hours. So we're going to do that tomorrow. We'll probably guess the other matches, which I'm sure will produce incredibly incorrect results. So that's the plan. Go check that out. And again, remember those comments. Brian Keith, question mark, exclamation. That's the question. Also, what's your main event, Double or Nothing? Chuck, get some plugs if you feel like it, and then feel free to take us home. Go for it.
Do I have any plugs? I do. Yesterday, a video came out on the Rest Things channel. Those boys are podcasters in the UK. We did an episode of their series Break It Down about yesterday's was Kenny Omega. We talked about him a lot. It was great. Had a great time recording with them guys. You can tell it's dated because my hair's a different color. Happens to the best of us. But yeah, check that out. I retweeted it. I'll retweet it again so it's top of my Twitter. You guys know where to find me on there. No plugs in terms of features or anything. I don't know. Just support the channel, support the other guys' plugs. But as long as we've got no other super chats.
We have a super chat. We have a super chat. Sorry,
we do have a super
another
chat. I won't
we
run.
do.
I won't run. I was about to click the button. Amdrag, 100 rupees. I don't know if that's correct. Please correct me if I'm wrong. My world falls apart when I remember Brian has less than 5 months as an all-timer. Man will miss those weekly collision bangers. Bro, it's Brian Danielson. He's still probably going to wrestle about 12 matches a year. That's one month. That's about what he wrestles. Like,
he can't help himself. I think we're still going to get, but I do co-sign. It's
yes.
We're going to lose a lot of these titans of the game here in the next couple of years. You know, it's a shame. A lot of guys are getting up there, but we'll still get a lot of dragon matches.
Do focus pushes.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that like all of our guys that we was growing up watching are still being able to do what they love in AEW. They're very clearly on the second half of their careers.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are lucky to have a second half of their careers.
For sure.
It's just like, damn, where's the time going?
Yeah, they all had a lot of the guys have had runs that are remarkably long, but the reality is that's going to make it even more striking when suddenly they're all gone, right? Because it will happen.
Yep.
It's just, I guess we'll still be here. Maybe not. All right. On that
note, before we start reminiscing too much and get depressed about wrestling, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back next week with the Dynamite review. I don't know if there's any podcasts tomorrow or latter ends of the weeks. You'll see them on the Twitter. We'll advertise them. Thank you for joining us. Please do subscribe and leave those comments, and we will catch you soon. Peace.